Some of the content of Patriots Unfiltered may not be suitable for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
The world's original podcast.
Welcome to Patriots Unfiltered.
Evan will be going out in the cold weather.
Not happy about it.
No. So let's tell this story. Evan, what's this obsession with the weather, right? Today, it gets down to the low 40s. Evan's like, he can't have it because it's too cold. And so he goes
He walked inside by himself.
Yeah. Those that set the lines no longer give 3 points for the home team. No, listen, 2 points if you're an outdoor team and 1.5 points for dome teams.
Okay.
So I'll have to adjust that when it comes time.
Okay. But I mean a guy big enough to handle that load.
What was that?
The whole newsletter is just, let's dump on Paul.
The last newsletter headline was me going to the bathroom, but he's complaining because it's all about
That is,
him.
I can't even afford a car, and I'm supposed to get like LL Bean jeans.
Something
Session.
that compliments you a little bit better.
Listen, it is what it is.
Something
Fred. I
that
got nothing to
something that
compliment.
doesn't say I'm going to the grocery store. Do you need anything?
Well, that would be sweats.
This is Patriots Unfiltered.
Presented by Toyota's official website for deals, buyatoyota.com.
All right, welcome to Patriots Unfiltered. It is Thursday here at Gillette Stadium, and it's Alex, it's Paul, it's me. Deuce and Evan will be by later. We got picks today, so we got to hurry. But, you know, a lot to talk about as we get ready for the Rams. Most of it, though, is not about the Rams. It's more about our own team.
I got some news.
Yeah. Christian Barmore going to be back at practice. As DeMarcus Covington said, that's a blessing.
Yeah.
Good to see him back. So I don't know like what his participation level will be, but it'll be good to see him out there.
Yeah, I mean, it's big news. I think Mike Reese sort of alluded to it this morning. And, you know, I think that they're anticipating him being out at practice. And
It's safe to say, though, he won't be in the game this week.
well, I mean, I would doubt it.
Yeah.
But no, I don't know for sure.
Okay.
Either way, but they did ask Jerry Montgomery, the defensive line coach, some questions about Christian, and I think there's a lot of unknowns here.
Yeah.
So I would probably err on your side, Freddie.
Yeah.
That he is probably not going to be immediately ready to play in the game, but the fact that he's going to be back out at practice is I think a huge positive.
Yeah, that's
for
great.
all involved. The
That's
team,
great.
for the player, the teammates, everything.
Yep. And, you know, again, going back to our Tuesday show, the rest of the sports media is caught up with us in
have they?
giving Alex Van Pelt
His,
credit.
his flowers.
Yeah, giving him credit for the development
Trendsetters.
of Drake May. Everyone's talking about that today. Of course, Alex Van Pelt spoke to the media, so that kind of spurred some of the discussion. But Mark Daniels had a nice piece this morning on the search for a offensive coordinator, and he listed the other 11 people that the Patriots talked to. Did you see that
No, I didn't.
on Mass Live?
I did not.
You don't read the clips that come through?
In general terms, no, but I can't really read a lot of them.
Do you even like working here?
They do the clips different. No, I'm ready to do.
Go off on this. They do the clips differently now.
Okay, go ahead,
Yeah.
Alex.
It's more difficult.
It's
And
hard to read them.
I understand that it's much easier for them, but it's harder for us.
It is,
'Cause there's
but-
Logins, and
Right.
this is like it's a first
But
world problem, though.
I also on
Oh yeah.
like we could be doing real.
but
I'm
on
not
it-
complaining about it.
could
They
have to
provide
do
a service
real
for
work.
us for nothing. Like
Yeah.
they don't have to do that.
but on X I follow Daniels, and I got it through, you know, Twitter.
Yeah. Do you have notifications on for the beat writers?
No, I don't have notifications. But
So what is the point? Like the guys that they wanted over Van Pelt aren't,
well, the guys
aren't
that-
doing well?
Not necessarily. No. It's just he just listed the people they talked to.
Right.
Yeah.
The guys they wanted.
Yeah. Okay. Well, not necessarily. Just because you talk to a guy doesn't mean you wanted him over Van Pelt. They talked to 12 people.
Okay.
You know.
They offered other people the job.
Well, Kaylee, they were in,
They turned
in
him
talks
down.
with. I don't know if that's a fact.
Kaylee, it is.
Yeah, but there were 10 other guys.
Yeah, I don't
besides.
know about 10, but
Yeah.
there were other guys they
Oh,
offered the
yeah,
job to.
Yeah, but not all of them. I don't know. I don't know if every one of those.
But what was the point of the guys that they talked to? Like, I mean, I understand the Van Pelt side
Yeah.
because, as you said, we started that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, you know, how much credit you want to give, but you got to give some credit to Alex Van Pelt for
Right.
helping Drake May.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
The guy has been developing at a pretty consistent rate. He gets better virtually every time we see him.
Right.
You know, there's plays individually that are better or worse, but he's getting better, I think,
Yep.
every time we get to watch him play.
Yep.
Alex Van Pelt deserves some credit for that.
Right. And now he's getting it
Yeah,
because of
I don't know
us.
what the other 11 guys have to do with anything.
No,
Well,
you-
it's like it's how you sell yourself on
Well-
like the person you're with when you talk about how crazy all the
Thank
other
you,
girls
Alex.
that turned you down were.
No, I,
Right.
To make an analogy.
I think, and his piece, it was mostly about the credit that Alex Van Pelt should be receiving for the development, but also it talked about just briefly the search, and these were the other people that they talked to, and that they're happy with who they settled on. So
Okay, that would run a little counter to some of the other reports that are out there.
sure,
No?
yeah, like
Like
the other
that we talked
reports
about
are
yesterday.
the other reports are no one else wanted it, and
Oh, no. Like the
Yeah.
reports out there that have talked about the Crafts are, sort of seeking counsel
that
as
other-
to how to
that other
deal with
report, right.
young quarterbacks. How to better help a young
yeah,
quarterback.
I heard that report is vastly inaccurate.
Okay.
That someone took a conversation and extrapolated it into what the report was, and
Aye.
it's not accurate. But I don't know. That's,
No,
Yeah.
you're right. We don't know.
Yeah.
When you use, sort of different sources and whatnot, sometimes there's something could get lost in the
yeah,
translation.
that to me that's a different report. I'm
Either
just talking
way.
about the reports in the off season about the offensive coordinator search. So that's all. It's just
It's just funny to see like 2 weeks ago the narrative,
Oh yeah.
and now
things have
one-
changed.
It's just amazing what one win
2
will
weeks
do
ago,
for
it was
you,
like
you know?
5 days ago. Mayo
Yeah.
was going to get fired.
Yep.
yeah.
Now he's better than Belichick, which is what I was told yesterday in
Fred
my
changed the
in my
narrative.
stint on my other show.
Who said that?
Felger, do you think he's better? I mean, I'm like, wait,
Like
are
that's
we-
ridiculous.
what are we doing?
I mean, come on. No, I think they actually put that clip on social, and I think I saw that clip with the three of you, and I think you handled it well
They put that on our social. Oh,
on
jeez.
social media.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, well-
their
No,
social
they're-
media.
Yeah, and if
Oh,
you
okay.
follow them, you get it.
Yeah,
So I saw it. I think you handled that
Well,
professionally.
thanks, Fred.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, the guy won 6 Super Bowls. He's a Hall of Famer, arguably the greatest coach of all time. And I'm supposed to say a guy who's coached 10 games is better?
Right.
What are we doing?
No, he
I
was,
feel like I'm getting set up here.
he was definitely trying to bait you. But I think they're making the comparison of where this team was last year compared to this year. And right now, compared to where the team ended last year, it was a mess. Things were falling apart. Now it seems like things are starting to right itself a little bit, just in terms of attitude and all that. Talent-wise, they're probably no better than they were last year. It's the same. But other than Drake May, but that's a big other. That's a huge other.
Well, you feel better about it because of Drake May.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
I wasn't allowed to use that in my
Yeah,
analysis.
other than Drake May. Well, that's kind of a big thing. That now we think that we've got the quarterback, we've got the guy, and now so let's fill in the rest of the pieces.
Right. So if you're going to compare it, as I was asked to, Alex, from last year at this time to this year at this time, like last year at this time, I didn't know who the quarterback would be this year.
Yeah.
Now
This
I
time
do.
Last year we were on our way home from Germany, and
Right,
we know
well,
how-
that was the whole-
lowest of the low.
Yeah, that was
last
the
year.
whole jumping off point. On the field, football-wise, it's probably not all that different. But it feels way different because
Yeah.
you have a quarterback in place that you feel pretty good about. You're excited about watching him play and develop. Last year, you knew that Mac Jones was not the answer. Well, most did,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
That it wasn't just because they didn't have receivers, and it wasn't just because Bill was mean to him. He wasn't the answer. Now you have what you think is the answer. So to me, mentally, you're in a much better place.
Yeah.
You have a new coach who's not going anywhere. Last year at this time, you had an old coach who you kind of thought was on the way out. There were reports coming back from Germany from Tom Curran that Belichick was going to get fired,
Yep.
maybe in season, remember?
Yep.
So mentally, it's night and day better now.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
on the field, it's probably the same.
About the same. Yep.
You know, maybe a little
Maybe
better
worse in
offensively, a
some
little
ways,
worse
yeah.
defensively.
Defense is worse, but you're able to just kind of,
Yeah.
I don't know, you build up the narrative in your mind that like the most important position is the quarterback, and if you have that how bad are your problems?
As I said to Phil Perry a little while ago in the media workroom, sneaky important position, quarterback.
Yeah, who knew?
Because the same thing happened to him last night on the TV show.
Sure.
He's like, "Oh, well, other than Drake May." Okay. You're right, Mike. If I take the quarterback out, you're right.
Right, but having the guy frees you up. It frees
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
It's like, the Patriots organization for 20 years now hasn't had to worry about selling tickets.
Yeah.
They've been sold out.
Yep.
That frees up marketing to do all this other stuff, where a lot of other teams don't have that luxury. Like every day they wake up thinking, how do we sell more tickets?
Yeah.
Same thing in personnel. If you don't have to wake up thinking who's going to be our quarterback, it frees you up to do all the other stuff. It's a huge thing, and so if you don't feel better about where the Patriots are right now compared to last year, then I don't know what to tell you.
I mean, I don't even think you need to compare it to last year. Just compare it to week 2, when there was so much uncertain, new coach, new quarterback. You don't know what Drake May is at that point. Now we've seen
Oh, yeah.
crap, we really are on to something.
It was a huge
here.
sigh of relief to see him out there and saying, okay, he can play.
Yeah,
Like,
but
he-
week 2, week 3, we were down bad.
Yeah, he's not this guy that we were told, oh, he's not ready. He's going to
Mm-hmm.
get hurt. They're going to ruin him. Like, things are okay. Let's, nothing's in the bank yet.
But now you know the direction we're headed in.
Yeah.
Before it was like with Mac, it felt like we were caught in between oh, let's go out and get these win now receivers so we can finally know what we have in Mac, but also we're rebuilding. Like we had one foot on the sand, one foot in the water, and now we just have a clear direction.
Yep. So,
Yep.
good stuff.
Yeah.
All right, podcasts
With
at
an S.
patriots.com is the email address. 855-PATS-500 is the TPX hotline. Why am I reverting? But again, if you want to get the newsletter, all you have to do is email podcasts at patriots.com, and you will automatically be put into the distribution list. We had some people email me recently. They said they've emailed the show. They haven't received the
I got
newsletter.
a tweet from someone too.
I checked with Wiz Khalifa, his team, and they said that sometimes it can go into spam because the email address that you actually receive it from is like en.patriotplace. So I said, listen, can we fix that so that it says it's from Patriots Unfiltered so it doesn't go into people's spam? They're going to work on that. But do check your trash or your spam folder for something that says something like es or en.patriotplace.
So much more complicated.
Yeah.
than it
Well,
should
it
be.
is. Like, it's just, it's a shame that there's so many bad people, in all seriousness, there's so many bad people out there that you have to go through this kind of stuff.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
the security to do everyday work now
I
is
haven't
like,
even been getting my emails
ridiculous.
in my direct inbox from our own PR staff. Like
Yeah.
that's
no, I
how
don't either.
It's,
Yeah.
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 And you have all this spyware on your machine.
Yeah.
and,
But it's
you know,
everything. Like,
yeah.
just to log into your computer now, it's like these complicated passwords that you have
Oh,
to
yeah.
try to
You
formulate.
need your
and
phone.
But you
you
need
need
it.
text
I'm not-
message.
You really need it though.
Yeah, and
because
this is
it's
not
so,
a-
it's
yeah.
crazy how easily people can. I mean, they're hacking into hospitals. Systems,
Exactly.
You know?
Not a
That
shot
is-
at IT or anything like that. It's
It's
unfortunately it's the world we live in.
Yeah, it's just a bad.
Shame.
It's bad out there. A lot of bad
Because of
people.
bad people.
Yep.
Bad
But
caddying.
anyway, so check your spam folder.
Yeah.
If you did email us, I've sent every email of people saying they haven't gotten it. I've sent it back to them to make sure that you're on the list. So have no fear. But we are getting those newsletters out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Important updates.
Yeah.
Alex
Maybe.
and Jules, hard at work.
Any teaser for tomorrow's send?
For sure. I won't give it all away. Paul had a great contribution I received this morning, but a little fun Evan update. Evan walked to availability today. He went
did?
outside.
Oh.
I went outside to take a picture and everything.
Oh, good.
We shamed him.
I'm going to do maybe some sports science segment, see how many steps it took that he avoided, because he told me today, he confided in me that to go upstairs and go to media availability yesterday through the inside, it took him like 5 minutes when it could have just been like,
Right.
30 seconds.
like how many feet is it from one door to the other?
Yeah, it's probably like 50 yards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If that's generous
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's probably like 30 to 30
Yeah.
yard line.
Yeah.
30-second walk maybe. And
it's a
it ended
it's a
up, like,
very
the
brief
maze
walk.
he had to go through internal, like in the building. It's just
Right.
I was like, what is he
You got to
doing?
wait for the elevator.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you're hitting
And
every
you got to
red
click
light.
on it.
You got to click on it.
Come
you
on.
gotta,
You
when
gotta
you- when
see
you-
the
what we
people
doing?
upstairs
when you
and
when you
talk
press
to
an
them.
elevator, do you use your finger or your knuckle?
I use my knuckle.
Yeah.
I
do
don't.
too.
I think about.
It's just dirty.
I'm
People are
weird with
dirty.
doors and with elevators. Like if I can, I'll have my sleeve and.
If
kinda
that's what
just
takes
fist
me
bump
down,
it.
that's what takes me down.
I
I mean, what are you gonna do?
just
It's less
use-
about
use
the
my
germs
knuckle.
than like I don't
What?
know. You like touch your face. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's less about getting like sick and more about like I don't want to zit because I touched my face because
A zit.
some dirty person was on the elevator.
Do people still use zits as a
Zit,
word?
pimple.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
What else do you say?
I
What do
don't
you think?
know.
We think acne went away?
No, I mean, but I haven't heard someone use the word zit in a long time.
Oh,
There you go.
Yeah.
First time.
Alex is bringing it back.
What's
it
old
back.
is new again.
I'm bringing zits back.
All right.
Yep.
So we do have picks today. Evan will be coming back. Deuce will be coming back. So I might as well just get right to.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I had more that I could sort of dive into, but it's. I think a lot of the morning was about Christian Barmore, especially when DeMarcus Covington spoke. There was, some talk about that, and he, as you accurately put it, Fred, DeMarcus kept stressing, like, forget about what he might be able to do on the field. Just take it as a blessing
Yeah.
that he's out there. Three months ago or so, there was legit concern that he might never be able to play again. So it's not necessarily looking for Christian Barmore to be Christian Barmore on Sunday. Just the fact that he's going to be out at practice is a blessing. And, that was kind of the same message that Jerry Montgomery, I almost called him Jerry Maguire, Jerry Montgomery had when he was talking about it. He also, sparked by our own Mike Dussault, Deuce set off a long back and forth about Jeremiah Farms and just, how well he played on Sunday against Chicago. Montgomery was very.
We got to change this channel.
Why?
We're watching this.
Oh my
channel,
God.
And I mean, it's a hunting, and they're like taking down these
hunting
beautiful
infomercial.
animals, these leopards and stuff. It's like, I don't need to see that. I'm sorry. I'm not. I'm all for hunting for like food, but like, killing. Hold on.
It was called Trigger Time TV.
Yeah.
Trigger time.
That's the actual name of this
It's
infomercial.
not. Now we got NFL Network on.
Oh, what?
Yeah. NFL Network
I
is
just
on
put
now.
NFL
He already
Network on,
changed
but-
it. He changed
I
it.
just put NFL Network on for you.
Oh, okay. I have control of that.
Wow. Fred putting his foot down.
No, it's like it's
We're a
distracting.
PETA-friendly podcast.
Are we?
I mean,
It's
Ish.
distracting.
ish,
You guys are.
adjacent.
Yeah. No, I love my cat. I would never do anything to
No,
harm
it's
my
like
I love
cat.
my
guys
dog.
holding up a dead leopard's head. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, good for you.
It's
That's
distracting.
it's a real sport.
It's
You're like
distracting.
See, we
50
got-
yards away shooting it with a rifle.
We
you
got
know.
Shregs
And a
on
tease
now.
for next week's newsletter.
I don't know. I just don't see the need to shoot animals like that. Like unless
Something
you're eating them.
psychological
Like if
about
you're eating them, fine. Or if you need clothes, if you're out, but just
Survival.
for sport.
Not for big sport.
Right,
Yeah.
for survival,
Yeah.
not for sport.
Yeah, that's a really
I would agree
that's
with
an
that.
out of touch activity.
Apparently not. There's TV shows about it.
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people
Oh, I-
enjoy hunting and
sure.
whatnot. It's just nothing that
Yeah,
ever really
that's a little
interested
different
me.
though.
Anyway, we digress. Jacob, the pool guy, writes in at podcasts.
I
at
could use a good pool guy.
patriots.com.
Where you based out of there,
Let's see,
Jacob?
Does he say where he's from? He doesn't. Eric would not like that. Now, I love you guys.
Doesn't say where.
He says he loves us, but all this talk about if May had started, we'd have a better record and May would be better is just silly. I'm talking revisionist history through ruby-tinted lenses here. That O-line we had during those games was an absolute mess. Brissett was running for his life at the snap of the ball. He took a ton of hits and made some Neo-in-the-Matrix type evasions. Yes, May is better, but come on. He wasn't ready and probably would have been hurt and turned the ball over more.
I agree with the last part.
Would have been hurt?
No, he would have turned the ball over more.
Yeah. He's
I
doing
don't
that
think
now.
there's been a lot of talk on this show about how much better they would have been record-wise if he had played from the beginning. I think Fred and I maintain that you might be getting a better version of Drake May now
by now.
had he played the first 5 games, and now he's making his 11th start on Sunday instead of his 6th.
Yep.
But I don't think that the record. I think you could make a strong argument to back up the emailer the first win of the year against Cincinnati, that had Drake May played, you might not have won.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Because you needed to be almost perfect that day in terms of turnovers,
Right.
negative plays and whatnot. And Brissett, I thought, was instrumental in avoiding mistakes
That's true.
that
you
day.
just think of the hits that Jacoby took early
Yeah.
on. Like, you don't, I don't know.
yeah. Now,
Let's just live in the present.
Some of them are, he contributed to, but
in terms of the offensive line, though, it's the same offensive line. I mean, like, there's been different guys every week, and you can change the Ben Brown name for David Andrews and, whatever. The offensive line's been an issue
Yep.
in every week.
Jordan in Kansas a few weeks ago on Catch 22,
Uh-oh.
Evan mentioned how we always had questioned Mac Jones's arm strength and athleticism. I want to piggyback on that because I remember this like it was yesterday. During every training camp in Mac's career, there would be news coverage on how this year Mac looks in shape or Mac Jones put an extra 10 yards in his deep ball. And every year I fell for it until the regular season starts and he looks the exact same. Should have listened to Paul when he would scoff and say, it doesn't look much different to me.
So I wasn't going to be obnoxious and say you should have listened to Paul. I would say you should listen to this show because I don't think that we as a show ever really fell for,
Right.
what an improvement in the overall skill set.
Yep.
Because I've fallen for many of those in the off seasons, Alex, like Vince Wilfork redistributing the weight.
Yeah.
I've written many a Pulse story on that
Right.
over the years. And then I would be kind of like watching and like, yeah, it kind of looks like the same Vince Wilfork to me. Different things like that. But Mac Jones, to me, lacked certain physical skills
Yeah.
coming into the league that aren't necessarily teachable.
Yeah, like he might have come in with better conditioning, but it's not like he showed up to camp just jacked all of a sudden.
No.
You know?
No.
Still a
No,
little
and I
doughy.
think his arm strength was lacking, and his mobility was lacking. I like you can
But-
improve some of your
Yeah.
instincts and whatnot, but you're not just going to suddenly go from having no arm strength to a plus arm.
And he was supposed to make up for that with
Right.
the upstairs, and that didn't work out.
He ended up being exactly as he was predicted to be.
Yeah.
He was going to be a guy that was going to be ready to play right away at a level with a high floor and a low ceiling.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what he turned out to be.
Except the floor collapsed.
No, I just think that what you see is what you get.
Yeah.
Like
He
he's
got-
going to come in as a kind of a ready-made product, and that's what he's going
Yeah.
to be.
Yeah.
And that's, in my opinion, not good enough.
Yeah. I still contend that first half of his rookie season, they coddled him in terms of on the field, the play calling and such, and it hurt him. Not that he would have been any better, but like that's not the way I think you should handle your quarterback. You got to let him make mistakes. Brad, formerly of Narragansett, Paul, he says.
Brad.
Who invented the fast break in basketball? It's a trivia question.
Huh. I don't know the answer, but I'm going to go with Brett Auerbach.
No,
Okay, I don't know.
close to home, closer to your home.
Closer to Everett?
Yep. The guy's name, he's a basketball Hall of Famer, and he's a former Everett High School football coach.
Denny Gilday?
Frank Keeney.
Never heard that name in my
He
life.
own
supposedly,
town.
according to Bradley of Narragansett, he invented the fast break in basketball.
It's a great factoid
Yeah.
that I'm going to have to look into because I've never heard that name.
Frank Keeney.
He was a football coach?
That's what he says. Everett High School football coach. Yeah.
Thought I went from Gilday to Moody Sarno.
Anyway, yesterday.
Wait, what are you laughing at? You don't. Well, I forgot. You didn't really. You don't have roots. You don't have. You're like Don
That's true.
Draper.
I
You have
don't-
no people.
I don't have roots.
You have no roots.
Yeah, I don't.
No, because you did. You moved around a lot. So
Right.
like, I grew up in Everett. So I know
Right.
kind of.
You know the history.
Somewhat of the
It's
history
such
of
a
Everett
huge
High.
part of the lore, apparently.
I'll
Yeah.
look into it. I'll
This
see
guy's
what
in the Hall of Fame for
I'll see
basketball.
what I don't know.
Is that
Paul?
what the email said?
Paul's not in the Hall
No,
of Fame.
the gentleman
I'm
in
not in the
question
Everett
in the
High Hall
email.
of
He's in
Fame,
the
no.
Basketball Hall of Fame.
Wow,
I'm not in the Everett High Hall of Fame. That is fact.
that's what, not what I was asking.
Why
for.
aren't you in the Everett High Hall of
It's a
Fame?
good question.
Yeah.
No, because I was a very average athlete. I don't belong.
What about as a
Baseball?
broadcaster?
I don't think they have that.
So
No.
if you were just an average
They should.
baseball
What, Joe
player, how did,
Castiglione?
how
They
did
should
you-
name the press
how did you
box
get into
after you
BU
at
if
Everett
you
High
were-
School. That's my
It's
dream.
actually named after somebody else.
Oh,
Arnold Boardman, who was a longtime Everett sports historian.
okay.
Arnie Boardman, yeah.
So you have no chance.
No,
Yeah.
no, he's a legend.
Maybe they'll name like a chair after you in the press box.
Yeah.
So it's too bad, like, because the stadium has been redone.
Yeah.
They used to have like this old school.
They didn't
It was a
name it
great.
after you?
The original Everett Stadium was a great place to watch a game. It had a huge horseshoe of stands. You know, it sat like 10,000. Seriously.
Yeah, no, for
And-
that's big for around here.
Right.
Yeah.
And they had like this long, like a real actual press box with like multiple rooms in it. So
Was this like the big concrete? Is it made of concrete?
no,
Okay,
it
never
wasn't.
mind. I don't know what I'm thinking of.
You might be
You're
thinking,
thinking
of
of White
Chelsea
Stadium.
Chelsea
In
Stadium.
South Boston.
Right
think
down
I am.
on Route 16,
Yeah,
it's
I
right
think
down
that's
the
what I'm
road, and
thinking
that
of.
was cement.
Okay.
But we used to in you know in the winter months, you know, when it was a little cold, to be partaking in Bud Lights outside. See how I
Yeah.
incorporated the sponsor there,
Sure.
Fred?
It was easy to
Um,
drink.
we used
Easy
to
to enjoy.
we used to break into the old press box. We brought our own space heater and a light, music, and we would just
Party.
We'd hang out and we got a party. Got
dress
four
up.
or five of us, have a few beers, but they took that whole press box away. That's gone.
Yeah.
And I always wondered, because we broke the lock off and put our own lock on, and I always wondered what happened like the next year, like when they
Right.
came and they were like, "How come this doesn't work?"
I have a good story about that, but it's for another time because
Look who's back from the locker room. What was the mood? Were the players friendly? Too bad none of them looked like
on
Derrick
later.
Henry. Hey Mike, what was it like in the locker room? Hey Mike, what was it like in the locker room?
hey, Mike, what was it like?
It's great. It's great. I just feel so chill right now. Yeah, it was a good day, I think. I changed it up a little bit today because Paul can attest to, we were with the coaches earlier today, and of course we went in with Jerry Montgomery. Everybody wanted to talk about Christian Barmore.
He almost said
He almost
McGuire.
did it too.
Yeah, what did I say?
Sounded like you almost
Jerry
said Jerry
Maguire.
Maguire,
Maguire.
which I almost did the same
yeah,
thing.
yeah, Jerry Montgomery. But I asked him about Jeremiah Farms, and he just lit up and had some really great things to say about Jeremiah Farms. So I was like, you know what? Instead of just getting what everybody gets today, I'm going to hang out and talk to Jeremiah Farms a little bit one-on-one. So just cornered him and, told him a little of the stuff that his coach was saying about him. And,
Did he
everything.
cry?
No, he didn't cry. I almost cried a couple times, though. But I got my own things going on. So that's a separate
Okay.
story.
Yeah. Sounds like we need an episode.
Got my own things going on.
But no, he's a really good kid, and it's just like one of those people, I think you meet them in life where you just see somebody who is a hard worker, isn't looking for praise or notoriety. He loves playing football, and he wants to be here. He's a morning person also, which Jerry said he was here 5 a.m. in the morning, studying film. So yeah, some good stuff. I'm just going to write about him a little bit today and put Barmore on the back burner because I think Barmore will talk tomorrow. But I did get in on Jalen Polk though. He did go and talk with the TV cameras.
Is Matt going to be okay with that?
I don't know. It was they were kind of easy on him though. The questions, there wasn't a lot of like, it seems like you're in it. It was just more, what does that touchdown mean? How have you developed with Drake? There wasn't a whole lot of. It seems like you've been fighting it for a few weeks now, maybe a month. But yeah, otherwise I know Godshaw talked. I didn't see him. I was when I was talking to Farms. But otherwise, everybody was there. Stood near Christian Barmore. Looked like he had a new helmet, getting that shiny new, no stick marks on it or anything. Getting ready to fire the helmet up for practice today. So I think everybody's excited to get him back out there. Yeah.
Did you take anything out of AVP or Covington today? Anything newsworthy?
I mean, I thought the pickup stats was there. Me and Paul were talking
didn't talk
about that.
about that.
Yeah, you talk about that a little bit. I mean, that's it's just I think I love coaching. I love even if I don't agree or have thought of things, I just love the different ways that coaches try to find ways to make their team come together. And I think that's something that they're doing. But no, otherwise I think it was pretty standard week. I mean, it's probably nice for DeMarcus Covington to be able to get up there after a really strong performance and feel like. Because he's one of the guys that we've been talking about. The defense is falling off a little bit. Certainly there have been injuries, but yeah, I think.
What did you think of him saying? I do feel like I'm a better coach now than I was week one.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I think so. I mean, obviously we can point to the Brandon Schooler twist that he incorporated, which is just a great. Paul's zoning out. I was trying to do a joke, and Paul was just.
Well,
looking
I was trying to figure out this trivia question. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's all right. No, I was trying to needle you a little bit with some fun about Brandon Schooler. No, it just. But
Oh.
I mean, I would say, Fred was asking about Covington improving, and I mean, he should, right? I mean, anybody you do a job long enough, you should be improving. I guess the question is he improving enough, and can they carry it over this week? But I continue, though. I'd say the one thing I continue to be intrigued by is just this Rams defense, and all the coaches are praising them in the similar way of just like, man, I'm a little bit jealous of a team that hits on a couple draft picks in their defense for the last 3 years, and now all of a sudden they've got this young, aggressive team that they can build around. And I think it's a positive sign for the Rams. I'm excited to see those guys out there this weekend. I'm sure they're going to make life hard on Drake and the offense.
Yep. Yesterday we were talking about toys, and of course, one of Paul's shows this morning also started talking about toys. It's just another example of everybody listening to us. But somebody said you were trying to think of a toy yesterday.
I just thought of it too.
Shrinky-dinks.
Shrinky-dinks. That's exactly. I just came to me right now. I was thinking about. Yeah, right. Remember those? You heat them up in the oven and then they condense. This is probably after your time.
No.
Alex,
No.
was it
We
like
had
part
ones
of the
that
tech
used
world? Was it part of the tech world?
We had toys that were very small, like little tiny things, and you put it in water and it would expand like a sponge or something. But this sounds like the opposite.
No, these are like you cut things out and then you bake them and then they get hard like glass. Right?
Oh, vaguely.
Shrinky-dinks. Well, I had
Thank you for whoever wrote
I
in,
had
though.
a
That's
toy.
very helpful.
I had a toy that, like, today would not be able to be sold. It would be just an absolute fire hazard. It was called the Strange Change Machine, and so
I've never heard
what
of
it
this.
was a hot plate, and so you had these little plastic squares, and you put it on the hot plate, and they get really hot, and they'd expand, and they become like little dinosaurs or monsters, and then you play with them. And then with these, you take them out with these tongs, and you put them back on, and they get soft again. And you put it in this metal press, and you crank it, and it would turn back into the plastic square.
So all day just
Yeah,
going
so
round
you
and
just
around we
back
go.
and back and forth.
It's like the original 3D printer.
Yeah, but this it was literally a hot plate
Yeah.
that like 6-year-olds are playing with. I mean, it was
Easy bake oven.
Yeah.
Easy bake oven,
Top-selling
yeah.
toy of 1968.
the Strange Change Machine.
was.
Really, 1968. Holy mackerel!
That's why I don't have any memory of it. 'Cause That's,
Yeah.
before, that's what the
No,
year I
that's-
was born.
Oh, I loved
Kids
it.
started
I loved
dying.
it.
They had to get burned.
I had a whole thing set up where, so G.I. Joe, I had this little medieval castle. G.I. Joe was invading the castle, and he couldn't invade the castle because there were just too many of them. So obviously G.I. Joe had come back into time to invade this castle. So he goes back in time with the Strange Change Machine and brings the dinosaurs with him.
This was a whole Fred Kershaw
Oh, this was a
playing
whole-
scenario.
The whole Fred
I love
Kersh
it.
universe.
I
The whole
love
thing.
it. Creative
so
play.
So like he couldn't bring the dinosaurs as they were because they were too big to go into this time machine. So he had to have this Strange Change Machine to make them small, to bring them into the future, but not his future, into medieval future. And so he and the dinosaurs were now attacking the castle, and they would overrun.
So this
them.
whole
wasn't the
scenario.
game. This was
No,
this
your
was my
version of the
game.
game.
Yeah.
That,
Oh, I was-
that's
I-
awesome.
He's
Yeah.
incorporating it into his G.I. Joe
Okay.
play. That's a great.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love that. I'm reminding my own playing G.I. Joes and coming up with scenarios. And, I had my hovercraft.
Well, I
and
had
everything.
so I had the Did you have model trains when you were little?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So you had the trains, but I would incorporate Mission Impossible. So I'd have the little guys. and
Riding
it
on
was
it
a spy
and stuff, yeah.
thing, and someone would get hit by the train, and it was a whole thing. Yeah.
I love it. I still have my my dad's trains from when he was a kid in the 50s. So he has
wow.
maintained them. They're the giant.
Which
ass
gauge?
Ones.
Oh, they were the big
It's the big
ones?
one. The big
Okay.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lionel?
and It's, yeah. What?
Lionel.
Lionel.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it still runs and everything. It's pretty cool.
What do you think the odds are that Alex ever had a model train?
Model train?
I had a little brother, and I loved his toys. Like I would play with his Hot Wheels, and his Legos were a big one.
Legos are the
I
greatest,
did the
greatest toy ever
Barbie, the
invented.
Polly Pocket stuff, but like at the end of the day, my sister and I just wanted to play with my brother's toys. We would build whole little towns out of Legos, and remember the area carpets that it was like a town with roads on it.
Yep.
Like we could sit on that area rug all
Yeah,
day.
Oh,
the
yeah.
three of
boys,
us.
the boys had them downstairs. They both had their own.
You know what I kind of want for Christmas this year, Paul? The Orca Lego set. I kind of want it.
Orca?
The Orca, like the
So you
Jaws
build the-
Orca,
Yeah.
and it's a new Lego
oh,
that
it's
they
the
just
boat.
put out.
So,
it's
yeah.
the boat.
Okay.
You can like customize
With a
Legos, so
shark.
we should get a Lego set of us.
Well, there's a
It'd
million
just be minifigs.
Lego
Yeah.
sets.
with
I
a couch.
like growing up, we just bought blocks. We didn't necessarily buy the sets.
Wood.
And then no Legos.
Oh, Legos,
And they're the same, but they would just you bought
All the
blocks and you
colors and
built
shapes.
like to Fred's point, like it was imagination. You
yeah.
decided what you wanted to build. Now everything, like for my kids,
Yeah.
it's all about sets. And like, believe me, the three of us, my two boys and I, made some unbelievable Lego stuff, you know, and had, like, to Alex's point, a whole town of different
Yeah.
Lego sets, but it's not as fun.
No.
It's not as, they look awesome,
Yeah.
but
Well, now it's more of it's really now more of a hobby than a toy.
Yeah. Like
You know,
I-
when we were kids, it was just a toy.
I absolutely loved Legos.
Still
the,
do.
The old Foxborough Stadium that I built
oh yeah.
at an early age, I wish I had a picture of.
We
Also
have
built Matthews Arena, Freddie.
Bill Matthews.
Well, that's pretty
You know,
cool.
Matthews Arena for
You built the
for
Bill Matthews
it's
Arena?
the Northeastern.
Wow.
But don't you
arena.
feel like you would build Legos, you would play with them, they'd slowly evolve over time, they kind of fall apart, and eventually they wouldn't. But like nowadays, I feel like a lot of people like they build them and then they put them in a case. And they're
Oh
like,
no, I don't do that.
don't touch
Oh,
it.
yeah,
Like
right.
you
Yeah,
know, like, all
people
mine got
Mod Podge them, so you
destroyed.
can't even take them apart.
Like, you know the
Yeah.
big plastic bins, like
Oh,
you
I-
st- like
oh,
clothes.
yeah.
I got 2 of them, full, completely full.
Probably like
I don't know what I'm gonna do. with
probably
them.
like
so
15.
before Legos, there were Tinker Toys.
Yeah.
I remember Tinker
Lincoln
Toys. I
Logs?
didn't like
And
them.
Lincoln
I
Logs.
did
Lincoln
have
Logs.
Lincoln Logs. They were good.
Lincoln Logs are
I
awesome.
don't know, give him some wood. Let the kid play with some wood. I keep thinking of just the Dan Aykroyd sketch where he's like, yeah, or, you know, like all the stupid Halloween costumes that are dangerous. Like
The Bassamatic 5000.
yeah, I know, it's a bag of broken glass. Yeah, like, it's just a bag of broken glass. That's a SNL from the 70s. Look it up. If you
All right, so we're off the rails, but this is a show. This
Yep.
is a show.
Seriously, show.
Clayton writes in. He says, "I've been listening since 2009 when I was 10 years old and have not missed an episode since. I'm sure there are several listeners who have a more impressive streak, but I am curious if anyone has me beat, or am I the biggest loser amongst the many thousands of listeners? So haven't missed a show since 09.
That makes you a winner,
Yeah.
not a loser.
Good
So
luck.
that's a 15-year streak.
I would
with
say
that. Yeah.
Chris with the TIAN has probably got you beat.
Yep.
You know,
Really?
Melvin, Eldred, those guys.
Yep.
They've been around for a long time.
I don't
But
write.
this kid
Todd-
was
Todd,
young.
North
like,
Carolina.
You two were a very integral part of his formative years. It sounds like.
Yeah.
I know.
for
Some of these
better or
people
for
have grown
worse.
up with you guys. Like, began as young people.
I
and now
apologize to
they're-
all the parents out there.
He says, I don't write or call in often, but I was lucky enough to meet you guys here in Minneapolis for Super Bowl 52 and actually won tickets for the game at your Mall of America Not Done network. So there, that's great.
That was
Heard some stories about that. Not done.
the Not Done Network.
Still
As
not
Fred
done.
would say, not doing it again.
But I am proud that we did it.
Yes.
Yep. the
You never
worst-
know if you don't try.
That's right. I think it was quite a feat that
Oh,
we
we
pulled
did.
off.
I think we did it. I
Yeah.
would definitely say that, but it was hard.
Yep. Let's see. No callers yet. 855-PATS-500, but a lot of emails. Mira writes in, Matt in the booth must be slipping because this is my third email requesting to get the newsletter. What's a girl got to do? Well, we'll get you in there, Mira.
Fridays.
Also, for the past several
Maddie
weeks,
has nothing to do
the
with it.
right. The podcast has opened with the post-game show intro. It's jarring to hear the electric guitar when I'm expecting Jill's "The World's Original Podcast" serenade. Lunch is on me once you fix the podcast intro, and I get my first PU
Get on
newsletter.
that.
Paul's hungry.
Not.
On the subject of the newsletter, I thought it would be cool for newer listeners like me to learn about the source of some of your signature sound drops, like "Not Good Bob" or 0.0%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Matt, that's something you could contribute. And then finally, my football question, based on what you've seen so far, who do you think has more potential to develop into a solid number 2 receiver, Pop or Booty?
Can I pick Jalen Polk?
I mean, yeah, that would be my choice
Number
too,
2
but I guess
receiver,
between
yeah.
those two, I'd have to pick Booty, but I don't really see it with either of those guys.
Yeah, I would agree, but I would pick
Definitely
Booty.
not Pop.
I would
Like,
pick Booty.
He's
Yeah,
just-
I
he's
think
too small.
he's a valuable piece on a really good
Yeah.
receiving core.
Yeah.
I think he can be a situational playmaker.
Well, you see a little bit how the Dolphins are using Malik Washington a little bit, like right, like
Well, he had the he's the guy who had the end around
yeah,
the other day,
yeah,
right?
So he's not Waddle or Hill, but he's the complementary third guy that when everybody's focused on those other two guys. I mean, there's definitely value. I hate talking about it like it says that Douglas stinks. He's a useful piece.
No,
but
no,
he's
no,
just
no, no,
not,
no. I'm not saying that
you
at
know,
all.
He's not.
I think he's a
not gonna
useful
be an
piece.
every down, high volume. Taking big hits, getting downfield. It's just a lot to ask of a guy who's about 5'8", 180 or whatever he is.
Out of Liberty.
Mm.
Michael from the Coast writes in, the Patriots have now won 3 games before Thanksgiving. Bill didn't do that last season. The Patriots at least have a chance to win 4 games, the exact same as Bill. You could argue this team is less talented, at least defensively, and we are matching last year's production. The team is also woefully lacking in talent because of Petty Crocker himself. Can Bill finally stop talking about us? The line between greatness and pettiness is getting blurry. I love that email. Good email.
Who do you think is better? Mac Jones, Bailey Zappi, or Drake May?
Yeah. Probably, Drake.
Okay.
I'm going to go with that one.
Oh.
Did you say Zappy?
I mean,
Gun to my head.
What'd you
Like-
say?
Gun to my head.
what's
Drake May.
different from last year to this year?
Kicker.
Yeah, but
The kicker's making kicks and the quarterback's making throws. No, that's why you
Points.
have one more win than you did
Evidently
at this
important.
time last year.
That is a good question, though. If you took Joey Sly's field goal percentage right now and gave that to Ryland last year, what would their record have been? That's a project for somebody out there.
Well, I would just say, like, just go by the game on Sunday, right? Joey Sly went 4 for 4, and what people that were there are describing as a pretty windy, unpredictable day. There's a chance that Chad Ryland would have gone 1 for 4 in those conditions.
Yeah.
And if that happened, then you're in a 10-3 game, and anything can happen.
That sounds like last year.
You know, or you could lose 10-7 or 10-6 or 6-0 because you can't make a field goal,
Right.
right?
That's it. That's 2023 in a nutshell.
Kamel writes in, what do you guys think Alex Austin can do to help the team?
Maybe be better than Marco Wilson's been. I mean, I'm kind of serious about that. Like, I don't.
Yeah,
think
I haven't
Marco
really
Wilson's
seen
kinda
anything from either
struggled.
one of those guys. I agree with Mike about Marco Wilson. I think he has
Well,
struggled.
if nothing
for the
else,
most
will
part.
give him depth, you know?
Yeah. I mean, he was, I think there was some positive vibes about him last year, but then he was
Yeah,
locked in.
I agree. Late last year, I thought there were a couple of games. The Buffalo game at Buffalo was one. I thought he made
So
some
he had an
plays.
interception in that one,
Yeah, I
you
think so.
Yeah.
But I thought that was there was some good coverage plays for him. I did not think he had a good spring or summer.
He's been locked in a life and death battle with Marco Wilson. Neither one of them could
And
emerge.
since he's been on the field, I don't think he's been very good. Now he's he's practicing, but he has not been activated off of IR. Correct?
Yeah.
Right.
With
I
Christian
have to check
Barmer,
with you guys on these roster things.
with Christian Barmer coming back, do you think he can help guys like Jeremiah Farms and Jacqueline Roy?
Wah.
Jaqueline.
Jaqueline.
Jaqueline Roy actually was funny because I
You
was
can't
waiting.
cover the team if you don't know how to pronounce the names.
When I was waiting to talk to Farms, Roy came up to me. He's like, "This is the guy you should be talking to right now." I'm like, "I know the guy. I'm sitting here waiting to talk to him."
Farms said that?
No, Roy said
Roy
that
said
about
that.
Farms.
Yeah.
You know, which was.
Say,
you
don't
could
worry,
tell.
I'm not here to talk to you. I'm kidding. I think Jaqueline Roy has
Yeah.
also played well,
Yeah.
by the way.
Yeah, maybe I'll
Yeah.
talk to him
Yeah.
next week. Maybe.
Obviously, he can help them. You know?
Of course.
Yeah, I mean, just being on the field when he's on the field, will attract attention to him. And,
Well, I
and, yeah.
wonder what they plan for him. Like, you're not going to know that right away, but ideally, do you think that they want to keep him in a third down role? Do you want to play him every down? Do you want to have Keon White in a third down role? Or, I think there's different ways they can go about this, because Godchaux's going to be out there on first down.
Yeah. I mean,
Does Keon White become Dietrich Wise?
Right.
I wouldn't
I
try
don't
to
know.
push it. My feeling initially is just getting him back for a few
Yeah.
games.
I'm
is
just
ju-
ta- I'm
even if
talking
he's just in
down
the
the
role
road.
right
Yeah.
now,
Yeah.
like in these last 7 games,
Mhm.
like just having him get over this, get a few games under his belt. It wasn't a completely lost season. That to me is valuable. I would guess that just go get the passer, or maybe the first game, but he's still got a window and he's got to practice and everything, right? Like there's not a chance that he's going to be available.
You
this
can't
weekend, right?
imagine. I mean, I don't know how much he's been focusing on conditioning. He's obviously been in the building pretty much this whole time, but I think his conditioning is the most important part,
Yeah.
not just for ramping him up to speed in the defensive rooms and meetings, but just like for his own health.
Yeah. Sticking on the defensive line, Kamel also
Nice.
asked, what type of stats does Yannick Ngakwe have to have for you to resign him in the offseason?
Good. That was good pronunciation there.
Ngakwe?
If he comes in and fits in, I'd be willing to talk to him about re-signing.
I mean, he's bounced around a lot. You imagine that if
My
he
guess is he's going to be on
would've
another
liked it.
team next year, because that's just the
Yeah.
way his career's
That's where
gone.
it's- Yeah, that's where he's at. But give him if Wise is out, I'm interested to see. I mean, they might be an opportunity for him to get more
Yeah.
playing time than he was getting in
I mean,
Baltimore.
all of a sudden,
it's all coming in.
our front it might be all beefed up.
Right.
I
I like that for sure.
Was Wise in the locker room today? Or?
No.
Hmm.
No.
Who would you rather have on an every down basis, Wise or Ngakoue?
Who would I rather have on defense?
On an every down basis. Like if it's
Well,
if it's
I
third
don't know.
and 10, Ngakoue every day of the week and
Yeah.
twice on Sunday.
It's a hard
First
question.
and 10.
It's a hard question because I feel
I don't know.
I've kind of seen what Dietrich Wise is, and I know it, and I appreciate what
he's fine.
What he's fine at.
Yeah.
And Ngakoue could potentially be worse, but I haven't seen him, so I don't really have a feeling on him. So it's hard to say I'd rather have Ngakoue, and he might
Ngakoue's a
actually
better
be-
player.
Yeah.
Overall.
Yeah, probably more
He's had a
talented.
better
but,
career.
Dietrich Wise, I would say, if you were just to throw Ngakoue out there right out of the gate, I would anticipate he's going to have some adjustment period getting used to this defense. I would assume this defense is different than what he's been asked to do. Really, it seems like he's more of just an upfield defensive end pass rush kind of guy.
Yeah.
Not totally what they ask him to do here. So I don't know. There might be some growing pains with him as he gets assimilated.
But if he
everything.
comes in and he gets like 5 sacks down the stretch, I'd be interested in re-signing him.
Yeah.
Who said it today? I don't know if it was Covington but they said feels like he's been here since training camp.
Yeah, they were all saying it.
Yeah.
Well, it's like I told you yesterday when he talked. It was just like no nonsense. He's here. He gets the deal. He knows how this league works, and he's not expecting anything. But he's here to bring leadership, which I liked. He highlighted, and it sounded like he was really locked in practice. So I don't know. Maybe it's
And
going to bring. a
Drew
little push.
Wilkins talked about him a little bit. And is it Keith Jones?
Yes.
It's one of the younger coaches. He really Drew Wilkins really credited him with that speaks a lot to Keith Jones with how well and how quickly Ngakoue has gotten up to speed.
Now, did Wilkins? I think Wilkins was with him in Baltimore, maybe in 2020. I don't know if maybe you missed that. I don't know. So
Yeah.
I was guessing somebody would have asked.
I
him.
didn't. I mean,
Wilkins
I
about it.
just walked in and out of a bunch of rooms, and I heard that one from
Yeah.
Drew Wilkins.
Yeah.
I don't know. So this is the second time around for Baltimore for him.
Yeah. I think he was.
Yeah.
I think he was there in 2020.
Might be.
And Wilkins was there too. So I don't know. I'll check that video later.
Yeah, I
today.
mean, I like Ngakoue as a player. I always have. I'm not necessarily sure why the Patriots decided to claim him now, but the player I've always kind of liked. I don't know what he has left because he hasn't really been overly productive recently.
Yeah.
But maybe he can get that,
Yeah.
that rejuvenation that
Right.
sometimes players get when they get a new environment. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Mike in Ontario writes in, first-time email, long-time listener. Got to keep it short because you got picks. Got to hurry.
Jesus.
As the team is just past the halfway point in the season, who are some of the players on the roster you think are underrated and could be key pieces in the future? As well, who do you hope to see emerge as a key piece during the second half of the season? I mean, everybody on this team.
It's a good
underrated.
question. I know that's
Except for a
like where
couple.
my head goes to
Yeah.
right away. I wish I could say one of the offensive linemen, is Trey Jacobs he's going to be great as just a right tackle? Like maybe I can't tell you for sure I feel that way, but it would be great if one of those offensive linemen did emerge and became one of those pieces. That's probably the first place I'd look, but I can't tell you I feel that he is underrated.
I can't tell you that anybody on this team is underrated. Not because they're not good, but because
They're not rated.
who doesn't get their proper due around here? Like seriously, in this media market, who doesn't get credit for anything that they've done? Can you think of anybody?
I was going to say
Who's,
special teams.
who's done really, really well and no one talks about it?
Well, if you put it that way, I mean.
Well, that would be underrated. That
No,
means you're not really getting
well,
credit for something that you do really
yeah.
well. Like Jeremiah Farms had a great game the other day.
No, I know.
It's not been overlooked.
No, it hasn't. But
Do you
to
know what
me,
I mean?
that's no.
We're
But I hear
starved
what
for
you're
positivity.
saying. No. I hear what you're saying, but to me, that's a little different. Like, talking about the game and who did well is a little different than, hey, this guy's a better player than we thought he was.
Yeah, like name one of those.
No, I think Jeremiah Farms
Is not a better player than you think he is. People are giving him all kinds of credit for what he's doing.
No, but what I'm saying is, could he be? Could he be better than we thought he was? Now that he's getting this
I guess it's just a
opportunity.
semantic argument, and those are the kinds that
he's
Fred
gotta
and I
keep
usually
playing
have.
like he played last
Right,
week.
right,
and then,
right.
And
and I
might
don't think
tell
that would be
you.
underrated. I just think he's rated. Like, I mean, do you think he can be like a Pro Bowler? That would make him underrated.
No, but
Like, 'cause I don't think
no,
he's that.
But I think the spirit of it is like, who are some guys that could emerge that weren't really on the radar that, are
But
now
emerge as what?
as he said, someone that will help you for the rest of the season and someone who might help you in the future.
Yeah, I'd be hard pressed to find one.
Okay, so your answer is none.
Because I think like Barmore's going to come back and Jeremiah Farm's going to go to the bench
Yeah.
in a perfect world, right?
Generally, yeah.
And that's no disrespect to Jeremiah Farms, and I think he deserves all of the accolades that he's got this week.
What
He's
about-
played really well.
What about Dale Pettis?
Again,
Could he be better than we
who's
thought he was?
Who's overlooking him?
Yeah.
Well, I think
Like, what do
We-
you like?
we
What,
overlooked
what
it.
is it? Is he a starting player? That would mean he's underrated.
Could
I don't
he-
think he's a starting
could
player.
he be part of the safety room next year and going forward?
Part of the safety room?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's
Okay.
the part of the safety room now.
No, I know, but like now they're kind of rebuilding. Now we're looking at who on this team is going to be part of the team next year.
The guy's
and I
under
don't
contract.
Think, I don't think when the season started, Dale Pettis was on that list.
When the season started or
Yeah.
when camp started? When the season started, I would have said, yes, they've decided he's better than Joshua Bledsoe.
Yeah,
they made that swap.
but I
And
s-
I would say they're going to go with him for a couple of years like they did with
Oh,
Bledsoe before
I wouldn't
that.
have said that.
I would have.
Yeah, I wouldn't have said that even at the start of the season. Like he was there because out of necessity.
No, they chose him over someone that was here before.
Yeah, because the other guy wasn't that good.
Correct.
Yeah. So what
And
I'm
we'll see in 2 years how they feel about
Yeah.
Del Pettis.
right, but well, I think if in 2 years Del Pettis is still on the team, he was underrated.
If he's playing special teams and backing up as the
No,
fifth safety, he's not underrated.
Okay. Yeah. See.
If he's like a starter and in making regular contributions, then that would make him underrated because I don't think people view him that way.
Right. Well.
So you're extrapolating what someone might be.
Yeah. I think I'm talking for more than a few Patriots fans who are like, wow, we didn't think Dale Pettis would. Be making the.
Dell. If
Dell.
he's so underrated, you should learn. Maybe he is underrated. You can't sell. And well, we were taught yesterday that if you don't know the guy's names, you shouldn't be able to talk about the team.
Who said that?
One of the callers.
That's fair. Fair enough. I kind of agree with that. You should at least know their names.
Of course.
You know how to
I barely
how
know-
to pronounce their names.
I barely know your people.
I mean,
So.
we screwed up because we were calling him Yannick Ngakwe instead of Yannick.
Yannick.
Yeah.
Well, we have a Yannick
Are we
on our
Although
team,
I
so
knew
that's
that.
a
Are
little.
Are we
Actually.
sure it's Yannick though?
It is
'Cause-
Yannick.
Yeah.
Well, that's what it was when he was in Jacksonville.
Oh, okay. All right.
I don't know.
We're the only ones that know his name is Booty. Seems
Booty.
like everybody else who does it.
Yeah, but why are
announces it.
people trying to complicate it?
I
Boutte.
think they
Boutte,
can't.
Boutte.
They're like, oh, it can't be
It
Booty.
is.
Have you heard of
It's got to be Boutte.
Just say Booty.
You know,
It's easy.
It's
Matt
Booty.
Judon has been getting some crazy pronunciation since he left the Patriots too. I don't know if you guys caught
Oh,
any
no?
of like
Yeah.
Judon,
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't heard that.
Judon. Like
Yeah.
they're just
Yeah.
adding like a little they're adding
Je
some
ne sais
flair
quoi.
to
Je ne-
it.
je ne
that
sais
it
quoi.
doesn't have. Little
I
je ne
like
sais
it.
quoi.
I like it. Yeah, no, I know what your point is, Fred, about the underrated, but I just feel like, is there someone on this team like that you can envision being like a huge piece of the puzzle?
I mean, the only place I really can go right now is at the right tackle spot. If Trey Jacobs is a legitimate right tackle, if that's a position that they're going to say, you know what, this kid can play, we're going to keep him here, we're going to keep working with him, we like him. I mean, and that way he can be underrated because it's a process with some of these guys. So I'm not telling you that I
That
feel
would
like
be.
okay,
I
you
think
know.
that would be one.
Would you be shocked if Ben Brown is the starting center for 2005?
Yes.
20.
I know what you mean.
I would be, but I think he'll be back. I wonder how they attack it because I'm not sure what Andrew's status is. I think he said like I got to figure it out and reevaluate at the end of the season, see where I'm at. But do you come back and do you feel like you need to draft a center of the future because Andrews might be winding down, or do you feel like all right, we think we can get one more year out of Andrews and then Brown will be good as just the backup to Andrews?
Or do you figure out in the last month of the season if Cole Strange can play center?
Yeah,
like
that's a good
they've
one,
talked
too.
about. Like
Mm-hmm.
if he's starting out of like Elliott Wolf didn't sign anybody again, that doesn't make him underrated. If he's starting because David Andrews came back and he beat him out, and Cole Strange tried to make the thing, and Ben Brown was better, and then he's underrated.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say just generally, I'd like to have him back, though. I mean, for what the job he's done, it's been pretty steady. I mean, I know that they've struggled in the run game too, but you find someone like that, you want to keep working with him. I think he's got good size. I think that's what impresses me about him. He's just big center.
I just think
body
they need
center.
better. They need better than those guys. Now, I love Mike's example of Trey Jacobs. If he turns into a serviceable starting offensive lineman, then he's
'Cause
underrated right
That's
now.
in line with
He's
your thing
underrated
of
right
yesterday,
now.
Fred, where
Yeah.
you know, like we found a guy, he's going to be fine. Don't worry about it, right? Like that's
Yeah.
your usual.
If
Do it
that-
on your own time.
If that's what he is, then he's underrated because I don't think people think of him that way. Well, people outside of here.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, a lot
Around
of these guys
here, they
who-
just got to keep these
Right.
5 together, and then we're going to be all set.
Well, and that's. I mean, that goes to how many guys do you feel like are stopgaps right now? Guys that
Right,
just like
but
we
that's
got
my
to
point.
improve this
So
this position.
to Freddie's
ASAP.
point, if any of those 3 guys that I consider stopgaps right now turn out to be long-term answers, like legitimate answers, not necessity starter answers,
Yeah.
then they're underrated. Fred's
Yeah.
right.
Can you think of any examples in Patriots history of stopgaps who actually took advantage of being that stopgap and emerged
That's
to,
an interesting
actually have
question.
a full-time
Well, any position
kind of
you're
role?
talking about?
Sure. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
God,
I mean,
there
I
must
know.
be some, but I just.
I mean, I don't know if I think this might be outside of it, but like I think a little bit of Ninkovich. Who,
I was going
like,
to say
Yeah.
Rob Ninkovich is the first thing that
Yeah.
comes to mind.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because no one really, he was like, oh, okay, they signed
Yeah,
this guy.
like he's
and
going to play defensive
then he-
end, and
you know.
Van Noy was a little like that.
Yeah.
Who was the guy? Oh God, I'm not going to be able to remember his name. It was a linebacker, outside kind of guy. I think he played at Tennessee. And then we got him, and for a short period of time, he really plugged in and did pretty well. And I can't think of his name
Gerard
now.
Mayo. No.
Begin with an M.
No, the Titans.
Oh.
Oh.
Oh,
It's a linebacker
man.
from Tennessee. What time frame around?
Like that time, like
Mid-
sometime between
2010?
like 10 and 15-ish.
Jesus.
Sometime
Did he
in
have a
there.
bunch of sacks?
It's my wheelhouse.
He come in and have a bunch of sacks.
I'll figure it
Okay.
out. I'll figure it out.
Chris with
We
a
don't have to bog down the show with
TIAN
my nonsense.
writes in. Christian writes in. I'm a way bigger loser writing in. As usual, Paulie is right. I've not missed a show since I started listening since '07. I needed an outlet besides EEI after the Patriots lost to the Colts in the '06 AFC Championship game. I logged on to Patriots.com at lunch on the following Wednesday and found PFW in progress. It was love at the first Paul and Fred argument. At that time, it was Andy too, right? So
Oh,
there were a
boy.
lot of arguments.
I think Andy used to argue with you more than I
Oh,
did.
my dad chimes in.
I think maybe that's true.
My dad chimes in via text. Troy Brown. Would
Troy,
Would that qualify as somebody?
It's the
who's-
dumbest thing I ever heard.
Uh-oh. You don't want to fight Eddie D.
No, Troy Brown. Yeah, Troy Brown was an 8th round draft pick.
Yeah.
Drew immediately fell in love with him that year, and he kind of got cut a couple of times. Would come back, special teamer, and all of a sudden
Yeah.
he's catching 100 passes from Brady.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dad.
we were talking about clothes yesterday, and I was all over Paul.
Yeah, well.
But I need to talk to today, and I figured out what your issue is.
Uh-oh.
I think since the day you were a kid,
Uh-huh.
between playing at Holy Cross
Yeah.
in sports and your father working at Reebok,
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think you've ever had any other clothes that weren't just given to you.
That's a great.
know?
No, that Fred.
Like
and
you've never had to what am I gonna wear today? It's just like swag.
Just an athleisure
Such a
nepo
bully.
baby.
He's
I
a
know.
bully.
No,
Call him
Well,
for
no,
what he
I'm not
you're
bullying.
you're in the right
I'm
area
just
for
stating
sure.
a fact.
Well, I'll
So
say the
mean.
first thing I'll say is that I appreciate as a parent. Where I'm like, my dad used to come home with like, hey, who wants shoes
Exactly.
and warm-ups? But like,
You
I
never had to
couldn't
think
wear
about it.
No, because I couldn't wear like Reebok warm-ups to school in high school. Like I wasn't like that guy. So certainly with shoes, no question. Like I didn't have to buy shoes until I was
Like, 'cause
probably
they
like
had
25
Rockport,
years
right?
old.
They
had
owned Rockport.
You're right,
Right.
Rockport. I mean Reebok. I'm sure my dad's going crazy listening to this right now, but no question. I mean it's such a pain in the ass buying kids shoes all the time,
Right.
and he would just be like, so I had the pumps like before anybody.
Oh,
All the
yeah.
basketball team
Yeah.
hated me. You're totally right on shoes, but clothes there wasn't as much apparel for Reebok. Like
No? Okay.
my mom certainly though. My mom was in Reebok, the windsuit like that
Yeah.
80s all the whole 80s. That's like all she wore. So, but like my hockey teams, he'd get like the
Right.
warm ups and
So
the
I don't-
windbreakers and
like, I was just
I know
thinking-
I got to get away.
That was before people lived in athleisure too.
Right,
Now
I know,
people
and now
live
I
in
couldn't go to
athleisure.
school in like a Reebok warm up suit, but I still got the Reeboks, and you can see them down there. There you go.
Akeem Ayers.
Confirm.
Akeem Ayers.
Oh, that's a good one.
okay.
That was the guy I
Yeah.
was thinking of.
All right.
52. He played a little bit in 2014. Is that? Am I thinking that right? now?
He's a machine for the second
Sometimes.
dynasty.
We both have
Yeah.
weird
Yeah.
ones.
Yeah.
He's a machine in the
Well, he
second
has
dynasty.
databases.
That's right.
I mean, come on.
Yeah,
I
you guys
have
just trade
detailed
off.
files.
But yeah, and he probably didn't play long enough. But he's just a guy that I remember like
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
thought he
yeah.
was a
Kind of a
jaggy
fill-in
kind of
guy,
guy. But
yeah.
he found a way to make some plays for them.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to the TPX hotline. We'll start with Kendall in North Carolina. What's up, Kendall?
Hey, how you guys doing?
Good.
Hey, Kendall.
This question is for Paul, but any of you guys, y'all can answer it too. But I want to ask about Drake made an interception he threw against the Bears. He said multiple times this week that he was trying to throw it away or whatnot. Did you guys do you guys think he was trying to throw it away, or did he just force it? And my second part to it is that do you think that's something that the team and the coaches can coach him out of it? Appreciate it.
It's interesting that you brought that up, Kendall, because today AVP said that's going to haunt him the rest of the season. I think it was a little white lie by Drake. I think he was actually trying to make a play. He said after the game that he was trying to throw it away, but today AVP kind of backed up that he needs to throw that away.
Yeah. Well,
so I don't know. Maybe it was in between. Maybe in his head he was saying throw it away, but I think he was trying to make a play.
Yeah, he said he felt like he short-armed it.
Yeah,
he was trying to throw it away, and he just didn't throw it right.
I definitely detected that, and I wrote that at the time that he did have a hitch in that, and like I wrote that, boy, he knew the minute he threw that he shouldn't have.
Yeah.
So.
I think so too. It reminds me as a defenseman who made many ill-advised breakout passes up the middle, and they were intercepted, and then I know that feeling. I know that just get it through, you know.
Like, oh, yeah. What am I thinking?
Just don't
sit
handle
right there.
Just don't
Don't
handle
move.
that. One time, could you just not handle it right?
Yeah. Aaron is.
I do think that's something they will help him with, though. To answer the second part of that question that Kendall had.
Yeah, I like what they said. The guy with the tuba is always open.
Yeah, I mean, that was a good line
That's a Jordan Devy
for
shot,
Alex.
I thought. Poor Jordan Devy.
The whole, it's something he'll think about the rest of the year. I hope not. I hope he's able to learn from it and put it behind him, but I hope it doesn't.
Yeah, one interception and a win, bro. Yeah. Let it go.
No, well, even if it was like an interception that cost them the game, I don't want you, I don't want to get paralyzed by your bad play.
Aaron's in Connecticut. Hey, Aaron. Aaron.
AA Ron.
Must be our Aaron.
Hey, Ron.
Travis is in Baltimore. Hey, Travis.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Good.
Hey.
Paul, I was going to call in to mention Akeem Ayers, but obviously someone else got to you first, so sorry that was too slow on the gun there. But one thing I wanted to follow up on, or to see what you guys thought about, was when and if Barmore does return to the field, do you think that helps Keon White slide to a more natural position instead of playing on the edge? And, he is getting pressure, but maybe he's better on the interior. And maybe with Ngakoue coming, he can help fill on the edge and allow the pass rush to do a little bit more conventional stuff rather than try to send Brennan Schooler at the quarterback a couple times a game.
Well, listen, I think you do both. I think you if and when Barmore comes back, you move both of those guys around, White and Barmore.
I agree.
That's how they played Barmore before. Continue doing that. And every once in a while, bring in Schooler and have him rush. Why stop doing things that work? Like add to the repertoire.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree. I mean, I don't think it's going to affect Keon White all that much. I mean, it might take a little bit of
Travis.
attention away from him in terms of blocking and might, get more favorable matchups with him. But I think Keon White's shown that he can be a piece that moves around, and Barmore's going to do what he does and, be inside and be a disruptive player. But I don't see it affecting. I mean, it's just might take a little heat off and pressure off of
Yeah,
Keon
and I don't
White.
know what White's natural position is.
I don't either.
I think
mean, that's not. I mean,
I think he's been a valuable player for them this year. I think he's had a good year. But I'm not sure if the Dietrich Wise spot, that's personally what I think is the best spot for him.
I would agree.
But I'm not sure if that is, or if it's more of a traditional sort of.
I just think what he's best at is rushing
Three
over
technique.
guards. Yeah, no, that's rushing from inside is where he's at his best. I mean, he said it himself. He doesn't think there's a guard in the league that can block him. I kind of agree with him. I mean, he's been a nightmare all year for guards inside. It's just when you get him in space a little bit, he's it's just stiff. He's a little stiff. He's not the loosest, most limber kind of athlete on the edge that you need for stop and start and getting around tackles and stuff. But I do think he's shown some improvement. Like I remember early in the summer, I felt like he just had one move, which was run right into the tackle and try to power him over.
I thought he was really quiet for the better part of, say, October.
Yeah.
But the last game against Chicago, I thought he looked like he did in the early games that we saw when he was really active. Not necessarily jump. I know he had the 4 sacks in the first 2 games, but I don't. The sacks aren't the thing necessarily that stood out. It was the constant presence that
Yeah.
he had, and I thought I saw some of that against Chicago.
Bit of context stats, though, is I think on Next Gen Stats, Keon White has 39 quarterback pressures, and the second place is Dietrich Wise with 19. So it's a big fall off from what Keon White's doing as far as pressure and the rest of the defense.
Good. Let's see. A lot of emails. A lot of people
We should
emailing.
read them then.
'Cause they all want the newsletter. That's why.
Oh, yeah, they do.
Devin writes in, thanks for what you do and the hundreds of hours you've given me through the first 6 years of parenting.
Oh.
From early morning feedings to tantrum-filled all-nighters, you guys provided the escape. And believe it or not, he's talking about our tantrums, by the way. And believe it or not, the sanity. I've got a question, and I'm not sure you can answer. Maybe it's more for the listeners in their podcast life balance. Have you added up the hours spent weekly listening to our shows? PU, 6 hours, Catch 22, 2.5. Do they do 2.5 a week? They're only supposed to do
Two.
Two, yeah.
Patriots post game 1.5. Well, that's supposed to be 2.
That is 2.
Around the
Ish.
NFL, 5.5. What's around the NFL? Oh, that's somebody else's podcast.
Yeah.
But now split into 2 shows, so double that. Oof! It reminds me of back in college when I once tried to add up all the drinks I had in a week, counted for 2 days, and then scared myself into not counting anymore. Anyway, you guys listen to podcasts? No. Your family give you a hard time about having earbuds in at the park too? Love what you guys do and appreciate the banter. It's Devin from Essex, Connecticut.
Thanks, Devin.
Thanks, Devin.
That's nice.
Do you guys listen to a lot of podcasts?
I don't.
What do you listen to, Alex? You've been quiet for a while.
I listen to a mix of sports. I really like business podcasts. I like hearing from like CEOs and founders and learning about how they build their businesses and stuff. I have a couple girly podcasts that are more like
Like what? Anything I'd be interested in?
definitely not.
How do you
Certainly
know?
not. The Skinny Confidential. Are you
Okay, that's
interested
one
in
that I'm
that?
probably not
It's
interested in.
about
Why can't you be? You've lost some weight.
'Cause
Why
I'm
can't you
fat.
be interested?
well, that's a good mix of like female business, female like fashion, style,
Sounds like you, Paul.
biohacking for women. They have like female health.
What's
practitioners
biohacking?
What else?
Just
I-
like
Like you like
tips?
like hacking your biology, like getting in touch with like your circadian rhythm and like habit stacking.
Here she goes.
Getting morning sunlight, the sauna.
Morning
like-
sunlight's better than later sunlight?
Well, morning sunlight's really good because it's not super direct, so you're not getting the
And it
harsh
energizes you for the
on your
day.
skin. Obviously, you don't want to be out in the sun baking all day.
Right.
But the morning light, and then also like just lowering your overhead lights in the evening really helps you get into
Wow.
like a good circadian rhythm.
This place.
So just random stuff I pick up along the way, but
Too much thought.
I love podcasts. I
wanna
do.
live.
It's like a habit stack for me. Like I don't want to just do the dishes or just clean my house. I want to be listening to something.
Bettering yourself
And
while
I
you're doing
find that,
chores.
and like
I
you guys
it.
know, I have a
So,
long commute, so
In
I'm
general,
just always
that's
trying to learn.
Earth,
you
Wind,
know?
and Fire is usually what you do when you're just doing menial tasks. You're cutting the grass, as an example.
Yeah.
Let's Groove is a perfect accompaniment.
I
Paul
I
out
don't
there
know
with
if
his
it's
jeans, you know, with the
ADHD.
Wear
Earth, Wind, and
jeans when I
Fire.
cut the grass?
You don't
Yeah.
wear jeans?
When I cut the grass? No.
Jean
What
shorts.
do you wear?
Sweats or shorts.
What
I mean,
if
mostly
shorts?
shorts because it's usually the summer. But
Okay.
now it's a little cold. I'll have sweats on Saturday when I do it for the final time of
Oh,
the
yeah, is this
season.
the
Are they
last month?
are they
I've
like
decided.
are
yeah.
they like the traditional gray sweats with the drawstring?
Oh,
No.
The girls like the gray sweats. You've heard this is the thing, huh? Right?
What are we talking about here?
Nobody likes those
Never
gray Patriot
mind.
sweatsuits.
Got someone right in about that.
It's a thing.
So what are the other girly things? See, I was thinking like
Alex
girly
likes
things
the
like,
show.
you know, you're listening to, you know, a couple of actresses, you know,
Oh, banter.
spill the tea.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd be in for
Yeah.
that.
So you're more like the girly
Storytelling.
gossip podcast.
What's the
Of
one with
course.
Jason Bateman and Will Arnett? Lane, my wife likes that
I
one
don't
a lot.
know.
I guess they're really funny. Sean Hayes, I think, is
I
on
don't
that
know.
one as
Everyone
well
has
too.
a
It's a pretty
podcast
popular.
Just
now,
Jack.
so it's like, how do you keep up?
I mean, there must be and I'm not kidding, a million podcasts.
I think it's
Easily.
amazing
Easily.
the ones that like the really significant money, you know, like
There's
Oh,
only
yeah.
a few.
no, I know,
Yeah.
but I think it's so hard when you think about that, how many
Yeah.
there are.
Right.
Like how like Joe Rogan or
Yeah.
like the Kelseys now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are like
Those
$2
are
million
very, very
ad
long.
how
spaces.
they
God.
how they do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
2 million.
Yeah, I was listening to.
I can't even get
I was
a
listening
car.
Jersey
to a
Mike's will do it
podcast
for 20.
today.
I can't even get a car.
Remember that first big podcast? It was a crime podcast.
Yeah, cereal.
Yeah, Serial.
Yeah.
So, that was like the first one that really caught on and got
Yeah.
a big audience.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. And so I checked it out. There were a lot of people that worked on that. Like, it was a major production.
Yeah.
And it went to show me that even though it's just a podcast, if you want it to be good, you still have to put,
Yeah.
you know, a lot of work into
So
it.
those
with a lot
kinds of
people.
podcasts, like the true crime and stuff like that, I don't really have any interest in. You ever listen
Oh,
to any of
people
those?
love those.
No,
I
I
did
know.
one.
I absolutely
Women
know.
love
You're
them.
right.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
absolutely right. But I've listened to. I remember when we were driving back from the Carolinas last February, and Beth was like, "Do you want to listen to?" I was like, "Whatever." Like, it's kind of everything on the radio has been played like 9,000 times. So yeah, go ahead and play it. And I was like, "People listen to this?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, I feel like it's your thing. It's like it's circadian rhythm. It's like putting you to sleep.
Yeah.
They're so
Hey,
like.
Kirk Minahan solved 2 murders on his case.
His
There you
aren't
go.
bad.
You're such a Minna fan. He should. Does Kirk know how much you love him?
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure
Matt
he
hopes
does.
so.
I like Kirk. I
Funny thing about that Serial podcast, I actually listened to that on the way down to San Diego for the 2014 Patriots-Chargers game. Was when I listened to that podcast.
What, the cereal?
The Serial one about which I think that kid got thrown. I think he
So-
was out of jail
so
and
about
then
Frosted
back in
Flakes?
jail, yeah. What?
Cereal.
Serial. Oh yeah, Serial podcast. There was another good one too down the hill that I listened to. True Crime podcast was about
Thanks, Matt.
2 girls who were murdered in Indiana. That was really good. And then like I listened to it at the Combine a couple years ago, and then they finally just solved it. So that's always cool when you like it's
Combine.
unsolved. And
Did
then,
you see the news for the Combine? They
no.
extended it a year, so through 26.
Let's
Yeah.
go. Love it.
You'll be at
Love
your
that
spring.
place.
What is it? Spring Hill Suites that you guys stay at?
Embassy Suites.
Embassy
No, I
Suites.
thought we were going to the Four Seasons this
Well,
year.
yeah, they're probably going somewhere else because Andy and I used to love the Embassy Suites.
they
so
love the Embassy Suites.
when Nancy would ask us where we wanted to stay, we would say the Embassy Suites, and evidently
Because
Get
of
the
the
free
other
beer.
free beer.
other people that now have gotten, they're like, why are we staying at the Embassy Suites? I don't know. You can stay wherever you want. I don't go anymore.
It's connected to Weber Grill too.
All right, we're
It's
gonna
tremendous.
we'll take a break. When we come back,
Fred's Foods here.
Maybe Evan will be back, but eventually we got to get to picks because we got to hurry. Whether you're in the game or betting on the game, you'll need a game plan. DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of the New England Patriots, provides you with everything you need to build your personal betting game plan so you can get in on all the action while practicing safe bets. Visit DraftKings.com/responsible-gaming to learn more about all the safe betting tools DraftKings has to offer. Hope is here, 800-327-5050 or gamblinghelplinema.org. Must be 21 plus. Play it smart from the start. GameSenseMA.com. Physically present in Massachusetts. See DraftKings.com/responsible-gaming for details and state-specific responsible gambling resources.
Isn't it time to get exactly what you want? Welcome to Red Hot Deal Days from Verizon, where you get your pick of our best deals. Like My Plan, where you can pick the perks you want and save on every one. For limited time, bring your own phones to a Verizon store and you can get My Plan for our best price ever. Get exactly what you want in your phone plan and only pay for what you need. Bring your phones to your Verizon store today and get My Plan. These deals won't last. It's your Verizon.
When someone accidentally threw away the school play costumes,
Oh no.
replacements were shipped with FedEx. And with picture proof of delivery, everyone could focus on the perfect opening night. FedEx, where now meets next. For residential delivery only.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Just to wrap up last week, practice players of the week: Keyshawn Banks, DJ James, John Giles, Joe Milton, and Lasita Smith. Those guys did a great job for us. They deserve to be recognized. You know, we give them the black jerseys, but oftentimes those guys get forgotten. The guys on the practice squad, and there's nothing more important during the week that we do than practice. And some of those guys, look, they're not out there on Sunday, but I think they definitely deserve to be recognized. And looking forward to another good week of practice this week. Wednesday, look, as always, we always turn the page. All of our focus is on the Rams. It's a good football team. You know, I know maybe their record, doesn't really reflect the talent that they have on the roster, the coaching that they have. But this is a good football team. And, I'm going to continue to stress to the players, to the team, to the coaches. It's, having a sense of urgency and really, learning how to win. We haven't had a back-to-back win this year. And so, look, we've lost multiple games in a row, so we know that side of it. Now we got to figure out how to turn the page after a win and get a victory. When I look at this team, especially offensively. It starts with the quarterback, a guy like Matt Stafford, who's done it at a high level for a very long time. I don't think he gets the credit that he deserves, but he is a very accurate passer, can make all the throws. And just because he's older doesn't mean that he can't move around in the pocket a little bit. Now, not the same as some of these other quarterbacks, but as you study the film, which I know all of you guys study a lot of film, he definitely makes people miss in the pocket. And those extended plays are definitely a huge problem. I would also say the receiver position, those guys are definitely good competitors. Kupp's been doing it for a long time, multiple 100 reception seasons. He's just all around just good player. But it's not just him. The other guys, turn the Seattle game on, the plays they made at the end of the game where they just refused to be denied as far as catching the ball. And, obviously they pulled that one out. I would say, Kyren does a good job. He's in there the majority of the time. Anytime a back is in there, over 80% of the time, you look at this guy as a 3-down back and really can do it all. He can do it all. Up front, look, they're getting healthy up front. And so, they'll have some guys back, that they haven't had over the past few weeks. They're getting healthy up front. And again, just a huge shout out to McVay and his staff. That scheme is hard. It's hard to defend. The run game looks just like the play action game. The run game looks just like the boot game, and they do a good job with those fakes and all of that stuff. Defensively, for the Rams defense, I think it starts up front. And to me, this has been I think the coaching staff has done a good job, and it's almost like a philosophical change in my mind because you don't have the big name guy up there. At the same time, I would argue to say this is one of the best fronts that we have seen all year. And it's a young group, and they do it the right way. They play the right way. They play together. They hustle. They're all over the place. And so, our offensive line, they got to step up. They got to step up and really, a lot of people say it's a challenge, but it's an opportunity for them to, again, shut up the naysayers about not being able to establish the line of scrimmage. And so that's my challenge to them. If we handle those guys, they have guys at the second and third level, obviously, but I think it just starts up front. And then special teams wise, look, I try to put a lot of stress on our special teams to go out there and win every single week. And I would say the majority of the year, they've done a good job, whether we're talking about Marcus in the return game and those hitting yards or, close to blocking punts, close to blocking field goals. We just have to continue to try to make plays and try to get the ball back into our offense's hands. With the guys, look, they're excited. We turned the page this morning and they're ready to go. And we need a good week of practice. It can't just be one day. It can't be up and down. Like, we need a good week of practice to go out here and give ourselves a chance to win this game. Fire away.
I know you talked about challenging your offensive line. I know it's early.
No, just help them out, Mike. Help them out. Come on, man. No, yeah. See, I'm your real friend because everyone in here saw that and no one said anything. It's ridiculous. Like, you would tell me if I had a booger on my nose, right? I hope so.
Talk about challenging your offensive line. And then we're talking Wednesday as we sit here, but is there a sense of optimism about you should get to see 5 guys out there again for the second straight game, I think, for the first half of the year?
That would be fantastic, and that is my expectation with the realization that you can get to Friday and lose one of those guys. But I got my fingers crossed that we can roll the same group out there.
This offseason was a long process to find the right OC. You guys obviously landed on Alex. Just how grateful are you that he's here? How much has he helped you, but how important has he been to Drake's development?
Yeah, he's been huge. I say, look, there's no one in this organization that deserves more credit as far as what Drake has been able to do on the football field than Alex Van Pelt. When we interviewed Alex, I would say when we interviewed all of the coaches that are here, one of the prerequisites or requirements was a guy who's level-headed and a guy who believes in working together and a guy who, doesn't get too high, doesn't get too low, and that's Alex, and I appreciate that.
You mentioned the receivers for the Rams and 2 prime ones, Nakua and Cooper Kupp, or 5th and 3rd round pick respectively. What has allowed them to develop? Is it the scheme? Is it the player? Is it Sean McVay? Is it the receivers?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it's a combination of everything you just said. Look, everyone had a chance to pick those guys at some point in time, and now, look, they're Pro Bowl players. So their scouting department has done a good job. The coaches have done a good job. And I would say, ultimately, those players seem like they've taken accountability of their careers. And I would also throw the defensive line in there, where you have a lot of young guys up there that, they just play with relentless effort, and they're going to be a very good team going forward.
The question is, though, would Nakua if he was here? Would Type 1 be somebody else if he was there? And I'm just using those guys. I'm not asking you.
Yeah, it's tough. Yeah, it's tough to get into those hypotheticals. I do think sometimes scheme does, create superstars, and sometimes it makes people look like a flop. Even though, when you draft these players, you see something in college that they have done that's encouraging. And so it's our jobs as coaches to put them in positions to continue to be the player that we saw before.
Gerard, early in the year when you talked about the offense, you pointed to scheme. We need to scheme it up better. We need to do some different things. How have you seen the scheme develop since Drake's been in there, and are you happy with the trajectory that the scheme and the offense is on?
I am happy with the trajectory. If you just look, I hate to do this, but let's look back at the last game. And so we were 1 for 5 in the red area. But before that, the previous, I think, 4 games, we had 9 drives in the red zone. 8 of them were touchdowns and 1 of them a field goal. And so I think you can't, there's a balance, right? There's a balance in, giving Drake and the rest of the offense. I know everyone wants to focus on the quarterback because he touches the ball every snap, but you have to remember, like we just had a conversation about hopefully having the same offensive line out there. It's not just Drake. It's not just the receivers. It's not just any one person. It's a combination of things.
Some of your personnel that has a chance to potentially practice or play. Any update on Barmore, Strange, those 2 guys particularly?
Yeah, I would say, Barmore is ahead of Strange. And look, there is a chance that he would be able to practice this week or next week. So there is a chance that we'll get him back soon.
Gerard, is there a challenge in game planning for a team like the Rams that you just don't have a ton of familiarity with,
Well, I would push back on that a little bit. There are a lot of coaches, head coaches, offensive coordinators that kind of have fallen from that tree. Not saying that they're exactly the same. All of those coaches kind of put their own spin on it, but at the same time, there are a lot of repeat concepts that you can see through multiple teams, whether you're talking San Fran or Miami or any of those other teams. So now in saying that, he does a good job, putting in wrinkles. And there's a lot of pre-snap and post-snap communication that has to happen. Their whole thing is, look, we'll use our motions to out-leverage, to out-man people, and we have to be on our P's and Q's to handle that.
This franchise played the Rams in the Super Bowl 6 years ago. How similar is McVay's offense then to now?
Yeah, it's definitely evolved in saying that he has his staples of what he wants to do, and he's a good play caller, and they got a good team.
Gerard, scheme aside, what have you studied or taken away from Sean's success as a fellow young head coach in this league, and what have you noticed about his program?
You can see his evolution. I've been a fan for a long time from afar. The evolution of, it started out, let's spend all this money in free agency, let's make a run for it, to now looking at they actually have some draft picks now, so that they develop these guys and go out there and play. So he's one of those guys, going back to the mental agility or being able to change. I think he's one of those guys.
Gerard, what's the challenge? As a player, you did it many, many times. It sounds kind of simple, but getting your team to repeat and win back-to-back games, which you haven't been able to do.
Yeah, it's just a sense of urgency. And I think, part of that has to do with turning the page. And I would also say it's the same thing during the game where it doesn't matter what the score is at halftime. Like when we come out in the second half, it's 0-0. And that mentality hopefully will get us going. Look, I just try to give them, look, if we hit these targets offensively, defensively, and special teams, in conjunction with the coaches, if we hit these targets, it gives us a good chance to win the game. Now, will it be 9 out of 9 targets hit? Probably not. But if we can hit 7 or 8 out of 9, we have a good chance.
Javon Baker, I think he's only got 4 offensive snaps over the last couple of weeks. Obviously, he's doing enough in practice. Javon Baker.
Yep.
Obviously, he's doing enough in practice to get on the field, but do you think you're seeing him enough in games to get a full evaluation of him?
Look, this is still a work in progress, and that's any rookie. And I will also say, we've been going for a long time now, and so there has to be a point in time, at least for the rookies, that they can take a breather. Unfortunately, we don't have that time right now, and he's going to continue to get better, and he's been great in the meeting rooms, and hopefully he shows up on the field.
I wanted to ask about Drake May. Going back and watching the film, is sliding going to be more of an emphasis going forward with him? I feel like I saw a few headfirst dives and things like that.
We have a sliding period today in practice. Thanks. Get somebody from the Red Sox come down.
And now, great moments in history.
I got my tonsils out, and I had back then you stayed overnight. But this was planned. I mean, back then I sucked my thumb and I had a blanket. And I did. I stopped that last year. But
we know who the pussy is now.
So you're in this crib at night, and of course, if you need anything, you had a button to get the nurse there. So I realized my blanket was in my suitcase.
He said, "Suck it with his eyes."
So I remember
6 years old.
I remember being this little kid, but so I press the button, and the nurse comes over, and she says, "Well, what do you need?" I said, "In that suitcase, there's a blanket. I need it." And this thing was like tattered because I had literally had it since I had been born. Like where I rubbed it was all worn out and everything. So the nurse goes in, she goes, "This thing?" And I remember I said, "Just give it to me."
I don't need your commentary.
I was like 5 or 6. Just give it to me.
That's another great moment from.
It's funny how certain things you just remember like it's yesterday.
Did it have a name, your blanket? I had a blanket too like that.
No.
My parents called it rotten rag, and it was disgusting.
Yeah,
and
no.
the same thing, like everywhere I went, I had to go with me.
It was just my blanket.
I didn't have one. I feel
Yeah.
left out.
Yeah.
Do you have one, Alex?
I didn't, but I had a bear, Mr. Bear.
Mr. Bear.
Mr. Bear.
Yeah.
I have
You
nothing.
still got him?
I still have him.
Yeah.
I
so
still got
my,
mine.
I found him
my
at my mom's
aunt
the other
made
day.
it for me when I was born, and it
Okay.
had a little
Yeah.
bunny rabbit thing in
Yeah.
the middle. But by that time,
Torn.
it was just like a rag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Just
rotten
remember
rag.
My
Fred telling the
grandmother threw
story.
it in the garbage once because she didn't like me sucking my thumb because she thought it would push my teeth out.
Oh, yeah.
And I had to go in the garbage and retrieve it. Oh yeah.
My poor sister had blankies for a while, like almost like too long, and then she would take them when she would go to like sleepovers. I hope she's not listening. Sorry, Mary. But she would take her blankies and she put them in her pillowcase. And she stayed one time at a hotel, and she's like an adult, not an adult, but like
Yeah.
20s, and she left them in the hotel.
Oh.
And she she
Oh,
called the hotel frantic,
Oh, yeah.
But it's like you said,
Yeah,
like
I
there's
mean,
just
kids
like
made
a
fun of
piece
me in
blanket.
college, but I didn't.
Just give it to me.
Were you
I
like
love that
Linus?
line.
You're like whipping people with
Oh,
it and making
yeah.
hats out of it and stuff.
I'm surprised your parents didn't just have another maid.
No,
Have her out make
That's what we
another.
did to Mary because
But
Sarah, my younger sister,
Juliana-
had the same blankie,
Yep.
so we cut it up and gave it to Mary.
My baby sister Juliana, I was 8 when she was born, so we had I think 3 different of her blankies.
Yeah. Well, I I broke down. I remember we moved to New Jersey, and my first sleepover at Michael Dela Cruz's house across the street. And like, okay, great, I'm going to sleep over Michael Dela Cruz's. And then like an hour later, I realized, oh my God, my blanket, he's going to make fun of me. And so I broke, like, telling my mother, I can't go over there. I can't do it without my blanket. She said, just don't worry about it. Like, it'll be all right. It turns out he had a blanket.
Everybody's got a
So
thing.
Hey.
it was okay.
It was like an after-school special.
right.
More like than we realized.
Yeah.
Do you have a blanket?
Hey, somebody just sat down.
Evan definitely had a blanket. A bear?
I plead the fifth.
All right, Evan, what's going on?
The mood was fantastic at Patriots practice
Really?
today.
Wow.
Coming in hot.
Any specific reason why?
A guy that wears number 90 was back at Patriots
Okay.
practice on Thursday.
Barmore.
Christian Barmore in the flesh out there practicing, taking reps.
Did
during
people say
media
we
portion.
missed you a clot?
Were you working on that one, or did you just that just
No,
come
I
to you?
did not.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Didn't hear a clot of that.
Puns aside, it was cool to see Christian Barmore back out there just on a personal, like, human level, that, he's healthy and everything's going well, and he was back out there. He was in line taking reps. Obviously, we're not watching contact reps or, actual 11-on-11s, but he was taking reps during positional drills, and it does seem like he's back in the mix, so that's great news.
Good.
Did the team do anything for him? Like, could you tell? You know,
No.
I'm being serious. Like, was there like a little, not
Huzzah!
ceremony, but you know what I mean? Like, hey,
Christian's back.
Yeah.
Big banner. Welcome home.
No,
well,
nothing?
Farms was definitely excited about it in locker room. After we asked him
Yeah,
about
I
it,
would
too.
say guys were coming up to him a little bit in the locker room, just trying to get him ready
Yeah.
to go.
Well, that's
and-
what I meant. Like stuff like
Yeah.
that. Acknowledging.
Here's the brother Christian,
Yeah.
brother.
There's some other guys that were also back at practice, moving right along.
Oh.
So
No nonsense.
No, Isaiah
Exactly.
Bolden.
Isaiah Bolden back at practice, yes, with that personal matter
How
yesterday.
many guys have missed practice for a personal reason this year?
Half a dozen, I would
That's a
say.
new
Oh,
thing
I
in
think
the
there's got to be
NFL.
more than that.
Well, the NFL's they're
Two
in
guys
touch
just
with
had
their
kids,
feelings.
You guys
to
had
be fair.
babies.
You're probably right.
Tavai and Slide, that's
Well, that's different.
well, they contribute to the
You're-
personal
you're totally-
personal
This
days.
is true.
Paul, anti-kids.
I need a day.
Paul
It's
missed
all
his
right.
boy's birth.
That's what I think
to
the
be
others
here.
are for.
Now it's just coming out.
Sorry, go ahead,
Still
Evan.
triggered
That's
by
okay.
it.
I'm just.
Evan's like getting annoyed.
It's okay.
Here to talk football.
It's so true. It's so true, Fred. Sione Takitaki back at practice on Thursday. Marcellus Dial, which was a little
All right.
surprising because he's in concussion protocol. So I was a little surprised by that one. So officially, just because, to get everybody, make sure we're all on the same page here. Barmore, Takitaki, Dial, and Bolden all back at practice. Dietrich Wise still not practicing with a foot injury. And then a new absence today, which of course led to a lot of speculation and grousing, was Tyquan Thornton, who was not at practice, and we do not have a reason.
What's the skinny?
I'm going to put that down as a personal.
Oh.
That's my prediction.
He's not supposed to have a kid, is he?
Personal would be my prediction for that.
No,
Okay.
but he does have one already. So,
So ours was were a little bit more,
Okay.
speculative.
So
than
Dial
that.
would be tracking like Drake May did.
Similarly, yes.
Because he missed
Yes.
Wednesday, he was DNP, and
Yes.
then Thursday he was back limited, correct?
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I know it's kind of crazy, but is there any chance that Barmore plays this weekend?
I'd say this weekend's probably unlikely. I'm sure that they would like to have some sort of ramp up period. I mean, he didn't have a training camp,
Right.
so I would think that they would want to have some sort of a ramp up period. But the one we were all kind of talking about it and what's realistic and what's not. And I just look at it. You play 10 to 15 third downs a game. Like if he can give you 10 pass rush snaps on third down.
Yeah.
Like maybe not even Sunday, but like a
Especially
week
if-
from Sunday.
If like I know it is kind of silly. The guy's just coming back, but like if you don't have Wise, and you just need another guy out there that might be able to put some pressure on the
Now you
passer.
got Ngakwe.
Yeah,
you do.
You put them both out there for 10 plays.
Yeah.
I think this week would be a little crazy, but next week's a possibility.
Yeah, next week
you're
in Miami
probably
is
right.
possible, and then like I said, it doesn't have to be like the usage that he had last year, where he's playing almost every single defensive snap. It can be, just third down or just third and long or just situational stuff like that for the time being until he gets ramped up. But the Tyquan Thornton thing, look, we'll get the injury report. It could be nothing, but him getting cut was something that we all kind of threw around just a little bit. Just got guys coming back. Alex Austin's window is running out. Pellegrino had some good things to say about him today. Barmore would obviously take up a roster spot whenever they do decide to activate him. So at some point when you have 7 wide receivers on the 53-man roster and you need to create some room for some guys, you do start to wonder about one of those wide receivers being released.
Can I ask a little bit on the line? I don't know. Is he done with his report? Do you need to?
Yeah.
No, you can interject.
I just want to, because I didn't regroup with you guys after Van Pelt. I just kind of thought the Bourne thing continues to be strange, where it's like, no, he's one of our best players and he'll be back in there. I was like, well, usually I think like you just play your best players. Like your best players don't randomly have to sit out 1 week. Like I still am completely confused by that whole situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I would agree. It's almost like not everybody's on the same page.
Yeah.
This is I'm not. I love Kendrick Bourne, but this is now kind of multiple coaching staffs at this point that have sort of had similar issues with him. Patricia, obviously well documented in 2022. I don't think that O'Brien was crazy about him at first either, and then sort of came around to it once he started making plays in games, and was probably their best receiver last year until he got hurt. And now you have this coaching staff now that's also uncertain about. I think it's mental. Like I think it's knowing the routes and knowing what you're supposed to be doing out there more than anything. And it's just interesting that it's been multiple coaching staffs now that have come to the same conclusion.
Especially because he seems like such a outgoing, personable kind of guy. Like he just doesn't give off the vibe of being somebody that's
like a
diva.
diva.
Malcontent. But
Well, no, I don't think.
diva or just-
But to Evan's point, I don't think those are the issues.
No,
I don't
it's
think
just-
that people think it's like effort
just
or
straight
prima
ball,
donna. It's
straight ball.
not knowing the assignments.
Yeah.
Is that? I mean,
Yeah.
I don't mean to put words in your mouth.
I mean, that's the way that I feel just watching him. Obviously, the drops and stuff have been an issue a little bit too this year, but I chalked that up to no training camp and just getting ramped back up. But it's where to line up, it's penalties, it's how to convert routes and things like that within the structure of the offense. And you just see on film that it doesn't always feel like he's doing the right thing.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, we gotta get to picks because it's that time of the week. All right.
No, I did it right
was
now,
that?
but
Oh.
I usually do.
So,
it.
Paul, tell us how last week went.
All right, so last week it was Evan and Fred at 10-4, Mike, Alex, and Paul all at 9-5. So everybody was very similar. With the spread,
But I was better.
a very impressive week for Evan.
Oh,
wow.
11-3.
Wow, that is good, Evan.
I'm on fire.
Followed by Paul and Fred at 9-5, Alex at 8-6, and Mike at 7-7.
Can't put me out.
So, overall standings, there's now a tie at the top between Evan and Paul, 98 and 54, followed by Alex and Fred at 96 and 56, and Mike, 92 and 60.
Yikes.
With the spread.
Yikes.
Yikes.
92 and 60.
6 games behind.
Terrible.
So with the spread, Fred maintains his dominance with the spread, 86, 63, and 3, followed by me at 81, 68. No, I'm sorry. Sorry, I misspoke. Followed by Mike at 82, 67, and 3. Then me, 81, 68, and 3. Then Ev, 80, 69, and 3. And Alex, 76, 73, and 3. So again, I want to reiterate, we're all making money.
That is impressive, and that's
good job.
Only we could act upon
Yeah,
it.
you look at all the pros.
This is why
that
we
you
can't
see on
act upon
TV
it.
and all that stuff, and rarely, when they have a panel, is everyone above 500 against the spread.
That's right.
It's true.
You only pick the smart
This
people.
And if only we
Imagine if we put effort into this.
gave some thought to
I'm
the
looking at
picks.
the spreads for the
Remember
first
back in the day, like in Paul's newspaper that he used to be have.
I am
They
better.
would have like sponsors would be in like this panel along with the writers, and there
Oh.
would actually be some that would be below 500 straight up.
So when you just referred to Patriots Football Weekly as my paper.
No. I'm not talking about PFW. I'm talking about
Oh.
the Herald. They would have like,
I don't remember that.
Johnny's used car guy, and he would be with Karen
okay.
Garigian and all the writers from the
Oh, okay.
Herald,
Ah.
and they do it just like we do it every week, and the records would be abysmal, and they were
That's
straight
funny.
up.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I
We
don't remember
should
that.
pair Paul with Toyota.
Oh, there you
Yeah.
go.
Make,
Or
Let's
Honda.
go.
be
Or Honda.
beneficial.
Let's go places.
Well, I'm not
Thanks,
trying to
Fred.
mention
Well, it
our
should be
sponsors,
Toyota.
competitors.
Toyota,
I'll settle for a Toyota.
sure.
Settle.
You get yourself a nice,
Awesome.
Nice
whatever.
Camry.
Toyota.
Camry. I think
Camry.
that's the Accord,
Yeah,
right?
that's
The
the
big
big one.
sedan, yeah.
That's like an Accord.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Same thing.
I could see you in a
Responsible choice.
Sequoia.
You don't want
Oh,
you don't want a
whoa,
Toyota
whoa.
Tacoma, nice truck,
Yeah.
drive around
RAV4.
Peabody.
What do I need a truck for?
Highlander.
Haul stuff.
What am I hauling?
I don't know.
Let's
Garbage.
go golf clubs.
Yeah.
There's no trunk in this Camry. I got no trunk.
Yeah, you got a trunk. It's actually a nice trunk too.
All right, we got to hurry.
Jeez, what are we doing?
I know
I
some
know.
Camrys.
We're wasting time here. Valuable time. All right, tonight,
Gotta hurry.
8:15 on Prime Video. Good game.
Good
7-3
game.
Commanders against the 7-2 Eagles.
The Eagles by 3.5.
Whew, I like it.
Wow.
Been noticing Cooper DeJean getting some love around. He's been playing really well. Got the Eagles defense playing well. I'm going to take the Eagles both ways at home on the short week. I will lay the points.
Yeah, same. Retweet.
I'm gonna take the Eagles as well. The Commanders, low key, have been kind of falling off a little bit. Like, in Hail Maryland doesn't happen, then we're talking about them in a little bit of a losing streak here. So I'm gonna take the Eagles, and I'm gonna take them both ways. I think they take care of business tonight.
I am going to take the Eagles to win the game, but I will take the hook. I think Washington has sort of proven to me that they're a little better than I thought. Tough loss last week. They lost by like a half a yard. I think that they're able to keep it close. Philly wins, but doesn't cover.
I agree with Paul. Take that hook. Division game. They're going to be tough. Both teams are going to be up for this game. Prime time. I think Commanders play well. Eagles pull it out. Sunday at 1 on Fox, the 6-3 Packers are against the 4-5 Bears in the 3,000th meeting between these two
I
teams.
believe that's accurate, Fred. Green Bay by 5.5.
Sounds right.
Bay by 5.5. That sounds about right to me. Man, I want to say Chicago maybe get a little bump from firing their offensive coordinator, but I don't think it works that way, does it? It's only the head coach gets fired.
I don't think this is a
It
rah-rah
might.
game.
The Bills
No,
got a
not a
bump
rah-rah
from
game.
firing their offensive coordinator
good.
last year.
That's in the glossary, the Fred
Details.
Kirschbaum gambling glossary
I was trying
parlance.
to get him to pick Chicago.
I will take Green Bay. I will lay the 5.5 points, please.
Yeah, I'll take the Pac-Men. Packers own the Bears, right, Paul?
That is
Very
accurate.
much own the Bears. Yeah, Packers both ways.
I'm going to take the Packers as well, but I'm going to take the Bears to cover. I do think they get a little bit of juice from the OC thing, and they're at home. Packers haven't been like dominant or anything, so divisional game.
Yeah, I do think they'll get a little bit of a bump because obviously their offense can't be any worse than it was the last 2 weeks. But I'm going to take the Packers and I'm going to lay the points.
Yeah, I'm going to do the same thing. Packers both ways. CBS at 1 o'clock. The 2-8 Jaguars are at the 8-1 Lions.
Mac Jones.
Mac Jones against the Lions
Mm.
at Ford Field. Lions by 13.
Oh boy, I can't do it, Mac. I'm
You sound
sorry.
like Tony Match yesterday.
I'm gonna take Detroit, and I think I'm gonna lay all 13 of them points.
Lions.
13.
Eesh.
13.
No respect for
No
McCorkle, huh?
respect.
No respect. Yeah, I'll take the Lions. That's a big number. I
He
don't
came
usually
out
like.
so hot last week too.
I don't usually like to take those big numbers, but I feel it with this one. I'm gonna take Detroit both ways.
Yeah, normally I would be taking the points, but I think Detroit is out to win every game by as many points as they can, and I think that they will try to do that. So I'll take Detroit both ways.
Yeah, me too. Detroit both ways. 1 o'clock CBS. The 2-7 Raiders are at the 3-6 Dolphins.
Miami by 7.
Yeah, I like Miami, and this one I feel like they're gonna start gaining some momentum here. Unfortunately for the Patriots next week, but I will take Miami. I will lay the points.
I'm gonna do the same thing.
Yeah, a long trip for the Raiders. Miami is a good home team, and it looks like Tua's got that offense humming a little bit again. So I'm going to take Miami both ways as well.
Yeah, I feel like the Dolphins. This is a must-win for them. They gotta put some wins together against teams that they should beat. The Raiders are one of those. I'll lay the points too.
Yeah, this is one of my feeling for the league games. Dolphins win, but they don't cover. Raiders have a spirited effort. 1 o'clock on Fox. The 2-7 Browns are at the 3-7 Saints.
Cleveland by 1.
Ugh.
Wow.
This is a
Bad
gross
game. Bad caddying.
Man.
Gonna watch this one. Can't wait.
Yeah, I don't think I can. I'm just gonna go with the home team here. I'll go with New Orleans, and I'll grab that point for +1. Is that right?
+1.
Yeah. Okay.
Jameis Winston revenge game.
That's it.
I guess I'm just gonna go with the Sharps.
Cleveland
Cleveland, I guess.
Wait, so Cleveland's favored in this game?
by 1.
Barely.
That's wild.
Wild,
On the
wacky
road.
stuff.
That's crazy. I'm gonna take New Orleans. I think that New Orleans, even though they're not good, I do think they're better with Derek Carr, and so I'm gonna take New Orleans.
They are. I'm going to take Cleveland. I think New Orleans got the requisite bump from the crazy coach that the former URI
He's
guy,
a nut,
Darren
huh?
Rizzi.
I really regret not seeing that coming. That's such a layup with the new coach.
Yeah, me too.
So I'll take Cleveland.
I'm going to take the Saints. It's just a home game, like Deuce said. 1 o'clock CBS. 7-3 Ravens are at the 7-2 Steelers.
A division game that might actually have some interest.
Yeah.
Juice.
Baltimore by 3.
Baltimore by 3.
I saw something this morning that Lamar's actually only played Pittsburgh 4 times in his career. Does that sound
Yeah,
crazy?
he's almost always hurt when they play.
Yeah, it's weird. Weird. I don't think it's going to make much difference this week, though. I'm going to take Baltimore. I continue to not believe in Pittsburgh. They keep winning, but I'm going to take Baltimore in this one. I'll lay the points.
I'm gonna take Baltimore, but it's hard to bet against the Steelers at home to make it close, and yeah, so I'll give the Steelers a little cover.
Yeah, I've doubted the Steelers all year. I don't know. I just, on paper, they just don't look like they would be a 7-2 football team. I'm going to stick with it. I think Baltimore is just a better team. At some point, the Steelers' offense is going to have to come back down to earth.
Why?
Because I just don't think Russell Wilson is he's playing out of his mind right now. But the sample size starts to grow. I feel like it's going to come back around.
I would wholeheartedly agree that I think Baltimore is a much better team, but I'm taking Pittsburgh. I think Pittsburgh owns the Ravens, and you said that Lamar Jackson only played 4 games. He's 1-3 against the Steelers. So I think at home that defense has what it takes to slow him down, and Pittsburgh wins another ugly, like 16-13 kind of game.
That would be so Baltimore. That would be.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Ravens to win this game. I
hope you're right, Fred.
Yeah, I do worry about their defense against Russell Wilson because the way he's playing, but I think they figure it out for this game, and I think they pull off the win on the road. 1 o'clock CBS, the 7-2 Vikings are at the 2-7 Titans.
Minnesota by 6.
On the road.
6.
Yeah, Levis is back in, right? Yeah, I'm going to take B-Flow against that Titans offense. I'll take Minnesota. I'll lay the points.
Against B. Callahan.
Vikings.
Yeah, I like the Vikings both ways in this game, too.
Yeah, I'll lay the points. Vikings both ways. Folks?
Yeah, I will go with the Vikings both ways as well.
I always like when you go, folks.
1 o'clock on CBS, the 4-6 Colts are at the 3-7 Jets.
Anthony Richardson.
Anthony Richardson back at the helm. Jets by 4.
Holy Lord, this game. Ick. It's a whole lot of ick. I can't believe I'm going to do it, but I'm going to take the Jets at home. Just, I don't know why, but I'll lay the points too. I can't bet on Anthony Richardson.
I'm going to do the same thing. I actually feel good about it for that same reason.
All right. You made me feel better.
Anthony Richardson's kind of a loose cannon.
Oh, yeah, he is.
And it's just a mess.
Yeah, I think the Jets are just in a weird headspace, but I still like them in games against teams like the Colts. So I'm going to take the Jets, but I don't like it. I don't feel great about it
either.
Jets have a very easy schedule this year.
I'm going to take the Jets too, just because of Anthony Richardson. If it was Flacco, I'd be taking the Colts. I kind of agree with Evan. I think the Jets are in a really bad way. Did you hear that? Like, their what's the guy's name? Ulbrich, their interim coach, had said earlier in the week that they were going to be in pads. This was yesterday, I think. We're going to be in pads today and tomorrow. We're going to work on tackling. I don't think you can do that. I think you can only be in pads once a week, and then not even every week.
Yeah. Well, isn't it cumulative? Like if you didn't go in pads the week before, you can do 2. Is it something like that?
Oh, maybe.
I think
I always thought it was only once a week.
Yeah, I think.
But I don't have any faith in the Jets. Anthony Richardson, maybe, I don't know, maybe sitting a couple of weeks helps him sort of get back on track. But
yeah,
I'm going to take the Jets.
Me too. I'm going to take the Jets as well. All right, so now we skip over the Patriots at 1 o'clock. And while we do that, I'll take a drink, and I'll tell you it's easy to drink. It's easy to enjoy. Bud Light is the official beer sponsor of the New England Patriots. And Black Friday's coming quick. Do you want to spend it watching football instead of waiting in line? This November, Bob's is unboxing unbeatable values for your home all month long, so you can skip the phony sales and stock up early on everything from sofas to bedroom sets to stocking stuffers and plenty of wow-worthy gifts too. So stop in and see how much you can save when you dare to compare with Bob's Discount Furniture, the official furniture store of the New England Patriots. All right, so we go to 4:05. The 6-4 Falcons are at the 5-5 Broncos.
Denver by 2.5.
It's in Denver?
Yeah,
it's in Denver.
Of course it is.
Oh, okay.
Closer you get to Christmas, they're all in Denver because the networks, they just love having games in Denver.
Excuse me.
It's unbelievable.
Guys,
It's kind of a tough game. I feel like, to pick. I don't really believe in Bo Nix, but they seem to be playing well. Their defense is good. I'm going to take Denver at home. Just elements, home game. Lay the 1.5. Did you say 1.5?
2.5.
2.5.
Denver.
I keep on wanting to trust the Falcons, and they keep
and
on.
they do things like they did last week.
Yeah, then they keep on letting me down.
Check it down on 4th down.
And the Broncos definitely should have beaten the Chiefs last week, so I'm going to go with the Broncos. I think the Broncos have been playing decent, and I like them in this game.
Yeah, because of what happened to the Broncos last week, I'm going to take Atlanta to pull off the. I don't know. I don't really consider this an upset, but they are underdogs, so I'm going to take Atlanta outright.
Yeah, it's a good reason, Paul. But I am going to go with the Broncos to win this game at home. 4:05 on Fox. The 4-5 Seahawks at the 5-4 49ers.
Niners by 6.5.
They own the Seahawks.
Yeah. Still
FYI.
pretty big number. I'm going to go with the Sharps on this one. It's hard to get a beat on San Francisco if they're going to really start to make a run here or not. But I'll take San Francisco. I got to take the points though. I'm gonna give Seattle the points.
I'm just gonna go with the Niners.
I was going to say something nice about Brock Purdy.
Oh.
He's playing a lot better this year.
Oh.
I actually think he's had a really good year. And I think the Niners roll in this game, and I think McCaffrey was pretty much back last week, but really is back this week.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Niners both ways too. Too much offensively for Seattle.
Yeah, Niners have to get it going now that CMC's back, and I think they will. Niners win this game. 4:25, probably the game of the week. The 9-0 Chiefs at the 8-2 Bills.
Buffalo by 2.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm going to go.
That's a lot of respect.
For who?
For the Bills.
Oh.
They're still favored. I mean, it's been a grind for Kansas City, though, this year. I mean, they've pulled these games out by the skin of their teeth. I'm going to go with Buffalo at home. It's time. Hold serve at home. I think this is Kansas City's first loss. I'll lay the 2 points.
Same. I'm picking it. I'm manifesting it.
And I haven't picked
I'm
against
hoping
Kansas City
for
all
it.
year, so this is a little bit of departure for me, but I believe.
I'm taking the Bills. Taking them to win this game. I think the Chiefs have been on that line all year long of losing a game. I think they lose this week. And this is the week that Josh Allen, MVP, really starts to heat up. Bills win.
Buffalo really controls Kansas City during the regular season. They just can't beat them in the playoffs. So I'm going to take the Bills at home.
Yeah. I'm going to take the Chiefs. The downward spiral begins this week. They lose to the Chiefs and they never recover.
Oh, wow.
They never recover.
That's dark.
That's dark. Imagine still going with it at 8-2.
I respect the bit.
I do too. I do too.
8:20 on NBC Universo Telexitos.
But I'm
and
the stubborn one.
Peacock. The 4-6 Bengals are at the 6-3 Chargers.
It's an interesting game.
It is.
The Lack by 1.5.
It's a fun game.
1.5.
On the Peacock, too, by the way.
I did say that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
ESPN Deporte. Oh,
I'm gonna go with the Lack in this one at home. Defense, Justin Herbert. Sorry, Cincinnati. You can't quite break into the turn the tide with your season that's just been going down the tube since week 1. So I'm gonna take the Lack and I'll lay the 1.5.
I'm gonna do the same thing.
The Chargers have won 3 in a row, all against really crappy teams. So this is the first time that they're playing a team that's actually decent. So I'm gonna take. I don't know. I'm gonna take the Chargers. I don't know.
You sounded so sure. I know.
I don't know. I wanted to take the Bengals, but they've just had such a weird year, and everything goes against them. It seems like every single week. I'm gonna take the Chargers, but I don't think the Chargers are all that.
Yeah, I think the Chargers' defense has been pretty impressive, but I agree. They've been running the ball. They don't let Herbert throw. I'll take Cincinnati on the road. There's not really much of a home field with the Chargers because no one goes to the games. I'll take Cincinnati. No one goes to the games to root for the Chargers, I should say.
This is a game where I'm just picking the team I really want to win, so
No,
I'm picking the
the Lack.
Chargers. Right. But I do have, like Paul said, faith in that defense. Jim Harbaugh.
Well, I think they're pretty. I mean, I think they're well coached, and I think they have a good defense. But for whatever reason, he won't let Herbert throw the ball.
Right.
Yeah, Jesse Minter is their defensive coordinator, and he's going to be a head coach within the next year or two.
Yeah, so I'll go with the Chargers there. Monday night, 8:15 on ESPN, ABC, ESPN2, ESPN Deporte. The 6-4 Texans at the 3-6 Cowboys.
Love having the Cowboys on primetime again.
Ooh. Yeah.
Thanks for that.
Houston by 7.5.
This is Cooper Rush, right?
Wow.
Cooper Rush. And what's the kid from Duke's name? It's another Cooper, isn't there? Like there's like another kid with a similar kind of name. I forget it. Cooper Flag, maybe.
Oh, the
basketball
player from Duke.
Yeah, it's very different.
Fanny
I know.
Flag.
I keep getting confused though. There's too many Coopers, and I grew up a hockey player. They have. Anyway, sorry, I digress. I'll take Houston and
Generational
lay the
basketball
point.
proxy.
Texans.
We'll talk about Cooper Flag later. I'm
we
gonna take the Texans both ways too. I think the Cowboys they don't have enough healthy guys right now.
Yeah, I know, Paul.
I'll lay the points. I'll take Houston. I'll lay the points. It's a
tough,
lot of
but-
points, though.
Yeah, I agree, but I just love seeing the Cowboys lose, so I'm going to go with Houston both ways. Now we go back to 1 o'clock. This is a Fox game. The 4-5 Rams are at the 3-7 Patriots.
I don't like that.
The Rams by 4.5.
Ooh, let's come down. Does that come down a little bit?
I believe it opened at 5.
5.5.
A little bit, half point. I wish I could believe they were going to carry the momentum over. I got a lot of respect for the Rams, their defense. Kupp and Nakua, they're back. They're getting healthier. Matthew Stafford's a veteran. I think it's just a tough spot for the Pats. I'm going to take the Rams. I'll lay the points. I'm going to say Rams 27-24.
27-24.
Wait, sorry, what am I doing?
That's high
Sorry.
scoring.
27-21.
21.
Oh,
okay.
very.
Sorry.
You have to be
I do my bad.
specific there.
I got in my head
He
like
said he was laying the points, and then he picked it within
well,
the points.
I picked something in Monday.
And that's what they try to do, so then they can go back and say, you screwed me out of a win.
I would never.
True.
Because he picked both sides.
I mean,
you
no
see?
one checks your work, just to be fair.
This is true.
That
is
I'll
true.
guarantee it's not right.
We need an audit. Rams 27,
Facts.
Patriots 20.
27-20, so
That's a better
laying the points as well. Evan?
So I don't think the Rams are going to score as much as Deuce and Alex, but I can't help but think that the talent discrepancy is just going to win out here for the Rams. But I'm going to say Rams 20, Patriots 16.
Ooh.
And I do think the Patriots defense can hang with these receivers on the Rams, so I don't see it being super high scoring. But
I don't, unless that pass rush that we saw against Chicago is somehow transfers here. And the Rams' offensive line certainly had a hard time Monday night against Miami. And you guys point out the 2 starting tackles didn't practice on Wednesday. We'll see if there's an update today for Noteboom and
Jackson, Alaric Jackson.
Ooh, I thought there was another name, but whatever.
Oh, well, Havenstein is the other guy, but
Havenstein.
so those guys play the same position. By the way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to take the Rams 27-16. I think there's too much on both sides of the ball for the Patriots right now, but I could see the pass rush bothering Matthew Stafford. He doesn't move around as well as he once did. So if they can get pressure, then maybe my pick will be wrong, and we'll be talking a different story in the post-game show.
Ooga chaka, ooga, ooga, ooga. I can't stop this feeling. I got the feeling. Patriots 31, Rams 28 in an instant Gillette Stadium classic.
You have like a pick 6 in there or something?
This is the game that
Marcus
people will
Jones?
point to. This is the game that Drake made his bones in the NFL.
Well, it does feel a little bit like 2001 Patriots-y, where like even if
we can play with these guys.
Even if we hang, exactly. Deuce knows exactly where I'm going.
Yeah.
Even if we just hang with the Rams, it shows a lot about the program, right? Or in the
Sure
right
it does.
direction.
Program.
We have 3 minutes. Can I lend a semblance of sanity?
No.
Okay.
Oh,
well,
go ahead.
I'm going
All right.
to anyway.
All right.
So, what were the Rams in 2001?
The greatest show on
Greatest
turf.
show on
Defending.
What are the Rams in 2024? A sub 500 team.
Yeah, but a team
So,
that should
like
be
showing
doing
that you
better.
can
A lot
hang
of
with the
talent.
Rams on Sunday is not anywhere in the same ballpark
I think
as to what it showed you in 2001.
I think it's exactly the same,
They're much
actually.
more. They're a much more talented team than the Patriots.
I think they're a better team than the Patriots, but it's not anywhere near
No.
like the kind of talent we were talking about in
You mean
2001.
like multiple Hall of Famers?
Right.
Yeah, but let's be fair though, Paul. Then the Patriots in 2001 went on a 8-9 game winning streak to win the Super Bowl.
And they never lost again.
Hey, I'm just saying it's possible.
I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I'm not saying it's not going to happen either.
But I think they do more than
Way to
just
live on the
hang.
fence.
But
Paul.
I say they win the game.
I'm just saying hanging isn't like it's not the accomplishment that hanging in 2001 was.
So
It's exactly
so
the same thing.
here it is, folks. Post game show. You know, Paul, Paul's stance will be if it's a close game.
Well, I need
Don't
to
give
see,
him any credit.
I need to see the game.
Okay.
Mike, how much credit did I take away from the Patriots on Sunday?
No,
due to Chicago's ineptitude.
Oh, no. You were very
Right?
credit giving towards the Patriots.
Couldn't two things be true?
Oh, yeah.
Couldn't the Patriots have dominated the game?
Yeah.
And the other team kind of was terrible?
Sure.
Like,
But in this case, it's the greatest show on turf, Redux.
Redux.
Correct.
Redux, yes.
So, folks, get ready. Big win. Big win.
Love that pick.
Just propel us down to Miami.
You already picking a win in that one?
No. I have to see what happens Sunday.
You crazy?
Let's not get ahead. It's one game at a time, Paul.
We don't have to do that. We don't play.
No, but
we don't have to
need
focus.
do it too.
I'm very.
We
I'm
need
a
to
one
do
game
because
at a
we
time.
owe it to our fans to be objective. All right. That's going to be it for
Strong
this
week of shows this week,
That's
folks.
That's going to be it for this edition of Patriots Unfiltered. We've got the pregame show at 10:45.
Yes.
Postgame show immediately following. Catch 22 is coming up right after this.
it is.
So stay tuned for that. For, I'd say your dry look at the Patriots.
That's a fair assessment.
Okay.
That's totally fair.
All right. We'll
Stay
see.
tuned for Ev putting Alex in a corner.
Yeah, that's good. Nobody puts Alex in a corner. All right. We'll see you next Tuesday.
Thank you for downloading this podcast. Subscribe on Apple, Google Play, and everywhere else you listen. Like the show? Please rate and review us. Listener comments and ratings help keep us high in the podcast rankings so new listeners can find us. Be sure to check patriots.com for more news and more podcasts.
The world's original podcast. Thank you.